What's cooking, good looking? This is Unchained CEO, formerly Sovereign CEO. Location independent income through your own location independent laptop based business. Getting free of your stupid, horrible bullshit, soul sucking. You're making a bunch of excuses for it. 9-to-5 corporate job or the gigs that you're doing. Moving to a less bad country, or at least setting up an international backup plan and doing all these things for very little money. I am Caleb Thundercracker Jones. 10 points if you get that reference. Billie will be joining us in about 30 minutes. Billie Olds. Yes, that is her real last name, Olds. It's not Billie Old. It's not Billie. It's not, and that's not some made-up name. That's her name. We're going to talk today about Paraguay. Talk about Uruguay. We're going to talk about Mexico. We're going to talk about some other stuff. So before Billie comes on, I will address a few things, namely a few of the things you guys have been talking about the last few days. First, really fast. You have several hours left to get the ultimate mastery bundle of every course, every book, every mini course I've ever done in my entire life. You have several hours before we shut off that website. That is at www.caleb.top/massive. Only a few hours left, and I shut off that website. You will not be able to get it. That's the first thing. Next, this thing about the Iranian president. As soon as I saw that last night, I saw that on my phone, and I said, oh my God, all the conspiracy theorists are going to be so excited to talk about this. I didn't say, oh no, the president might be dead. This is bad for the Middle East. Bad. I didn't say that. I said, oh my God, what is that sound? You hear that sound? That's the sound of about 100 million boners going off for all these conspiracy theorists who know exactly what happened. What they did was they put a virus in the helicopter and made it fly into a mountain, make it look like it was a mistake. By the way, I'm not saying that other governments may have been involved in what happened. If you don't know, the president of Iran just perished in a very odd helicopter crash. I'm not saying that no other companies or countries were involved. Make sure you heard me on this. That's entirely possible. Matter of fact, maybe it's improbable. I'm saying you conspiracy guys, you guys who said the Will Smith slap was staged. Oh, that was staged, Caleb. You guys, you're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what happened. Been hearing rumors of Canada planning a huge exit tax. That is correct. You've already doubled your capital gains in Canada. Yeah. I'm an American. It seems the West is making it harder to leave as time goes on. Glad I'm leaving soon for good. Get the fuck out of the collapsing USA, of cuckoo Canada, of suicidal Europe, of authoritarian Australia. Get out. Why are you still there? Here's the hilarious thing about this. We're going to talk about Paraguay, Uruguay, and some other countries today. You guys are worried about nuclear wars, which I'm not. That is not one of the scenarios I foresee as a worldwide nuclear war. But a lot of you do. A lot of you are all worried about this. Every time some country attacks another country, you're like, oh no, World War III, Caleb. You said this when, Iran launched missiles against Israel. You said this when Putin invaded Ukraine several years ago. Oh no, is it World War III? We're all fucked. Okay, you guys are worried about World War III. Guess where most of you live? In the country that is most in trouble in the case of a World War III. Where are most nuclear weapons pointed at in the world? The United States. I've talked about this. The number of nuclear weapons pointed at you if you live in the U.S. versus me here in Dubai or when I'm in Paraguay. Who wants to nuke Paraguay? Nobody. Who wants to nuke Dubai? Pretty much nobody. Who wants to nuke America? Everybody. Everyone on Earth. Except Europe. Some parts of Europe. You guys worried about things like Caleb, won't be nuclear war. It'll be cyber attack. It'll be a cyber attack. The organizations and or countries that have the resources to make a cyber attack against a country, what's the number one country on their list? United States. What's the number two country on the list? Probably UK, Canada, France, Germany. Are they going to attack Dubai? Is that where all these people around the world are itching to kill Dubai or Paraguay or Uruguay or Mexico? No, you guys. So you guys are most worried about these horrible scenarios are the same people sitting in the countries that are most exposed to these risks. This is why I don't worry about nuclear wars and cyber. I'll be fine. or at least much more better off than most of you, living in the collapsing USA, cuckoo Canada, authoritarian Australia, suicidal Europe. I got to come up with a fun name for UK. And it has to be alliteration. So something starting with the letter U, something UK, or something England, insane England. No, that wouldn't work. I got to think of something. Yeah. Get out. What are you guys doing? I don't. We're going to talk about that today. What else do I want to talk about? Let's see. What are you guys saying in here? What do you think about Northern Cyprus? I think it's fine. Excited to join you and Billy in Uruguay and Paraguay. I just emailed Billy ready to make my payment. Cool. Looney UK. No, it has to be UK. It has to be alliterative. Yes, I will be in Paraguay in July. I'm going to be in the UK. Speaking of the UK, I'll be in the UK in June. Scotland for about a week. Can't wait. I'm going to do a whole Oxford thing. I have big plans to go to the UK. Then I'll be in the United States for about 2 to 3 weeks. Then I'll be in Paraguay for about 3 months, starting in June. Billy will be in Paraguay for at least 2 weeks, probably 3. I think she's staying longer. I can ask her. And then we'll be, the way it's going to work is I'm going to land in Paraguay, go right to Uruguay for you guys joining us in Uruguay for like 4 days and come right back to Paraguay. So, yeah. What's the link again? You know what? Let's put a banner on here, shall we? Let's do a banner. Hang on one moment. Let's do it. Let's do a banner. Create a banner. I'll put the link on there. www.caleb.top/massive for the bundle of all courses and books. Just a few hours left. Okay. See if this works. There we go. There you go. You ask and you shall receive. Useless UK. No, that's not as it could be England too. Some England or Britain. Bullshit Britain. I don't know. Bought your 5 Flags business bundle yesterday. Ready to start making more moolah. Cool. Love it. Let's see. I'm out of Canada. Family, been in Paraguay. I'm 23 now. Plus, I have cedula before 28th. I finally have my cedula. It got took like 5 years to get. I got my cedula finally last year, and I haven't seen it yet. My attorneys are holding it for me. So when I go down there, I'll have a cedula. Thank God. And then I'll have my corporation set up down there, and then I'm going to have my bunch of other stuff. We'll talk about that. Billy and I talk about our plans for Paraguay. I have big plans for Paraguay. Evil England, batshit Britain. That's not bad. Bankrupt Britain. Those are good. You guys are good. Yucky UK. That's good, but it's too general. That's pretty good though. What else I want to talk before Billy came on? There was something else. All right. I can handle a few questions before we get started. What was the other topic I had? Link doesn't work. Yes, it does. Yes, it works. We've had a few people report that it doesn't work on a phone. And if that's the case, we are fixing that as like literally right now. The link does work. If you can't read it well on the phone, use a computer. Punta del Este. We're not going to go to Punta del Este in Uruguay. We're not going to do that. We're going to be mostly in Montevideo. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. Maybe we could pop over there. I don't know how far is the drive between Montevideo and Punta del Este. I don't know. What was the topic? God damn, I had a topic. I didn't write it down. Can you tell? Oh, I remember what it was. Okay. Net worth. Let's talk about that really quick. A lot of you guys have been asking about this, and there's a lot of commentary about net worth. How much money should you be worth? Should you be worth $1 million? Should it be worth $500,000? Should your net worth be $10 million? Should it be $100 million? What is wealthy? What is not? We've had some conversations. I've talked about how wealth, in my opinion, begins at about $10 million USD, true wealth. You could make the argument that at about 25 million, you can buy kind of anything you want. Probably true. 25, 30 million, somewhere in there. Here's the problem. Net worth, when you're in the entrepreneurial space, doesn't mean anything. It's vapor. It's not a real number. What? Yes. If you're in the entrepreneurial space, small businesses, or I shouldn't say small businesses, privately held businesses, if your net worth, if any percentage of your net worth, any significant percentage, is a privately held business or businesses, Your net worth is bullshit. Whatever that number is BS. It's not real because you don't know how much a privately held business is worth. Caleb, yes, you do. You take multiple of EBITDA and cap. No, that's a guess. You're guessing. You don't know. You don't know. Now, if you have a publicly traded business on the stock market, then you know. You have market cap. You have a set price for your stocks. That's different. I talk about privately held. Excuse me. Hang on a second. Hi, stunning baby. Don't say your real name. Baby chica, don't say your real name, okay? Dang, 10 million. You don't have to make 10 million. Here's my point. My point is that when you have a privately held business, the valuation of that business is a guess. You don't know. There is no set hard formula for the valuation of a privately held company. You have a multiple of EBITDA, and that's fine, but that's not exactly what it's worth. What is a company worth? Whatever someone pays you for that business. Do you know exactly what that number is? No, it's a wild fucking guess. So if you have your own business, and this happens all the time, you ask me how much, my businesses are. If it's like 1 million to 4 million or whatever, let's say, you're like, I have a business worth 1 million to 4 million. And I don't know, it's somewhere in there. Now, the problem is banks and financial institutions don't say that stuff. They don't want to hear you have an asset worth 1 million to 4 million or 7 million to 22 million somewhere. They need a number. So people come up with a number and they put it down their financial statement. I have net worth numbers on my financial statement. I don't know what they are. I don't fucking know. Well, Caleb, it's about capital goods. If you own a business and you own a building and you own some land and you own equipment and inventory, that's not the value of a business. The value of business is capital goods, EBITDA multiple, goodwill. What the fuck does that mean? You don't know. Here's how much you know. Here's when you know your business is worth. When the conglomerate or venture capital or private equity firm wires you the money to buy your business. They send you the wire, like someone here I know in Dubai who has his own YouTube channel. This happened about a year or two ago. And there's your $13 million. Oh, there, okay, it was worth $13 million. But by then it's not worth it doesn't matter because you don't own the business anymore. Okay. So net worth, the number of net worth is bullshit. You don't know what your net worth is. I don't know if you own a privately held business. If you ask me what my net worth is, I have some numbers in my head, but I don't know. I don't know what my net worth is. I know what my investments are worth. I know what my assets are worth. I know how much my companies make. I don't know what they're worth. I have no idea. And yes, when I fill out a form and a financial statement, I got to put a number down there because banks want to see a fucking number. Okay, great. Doesn't mean anything. So if your net worth is inclusive of a privately held company, you have no fucking idea what your net worth is. Now, that's if it's a privately held company. If you own money in real estate, then you know what your net worth is. That's different. If all your net worth is real estate, you know what your net worth is. Well, Caleb, that's still a range. Yeah, but it's a very tight range. So you have a pretty good idea. You know what your net worth is. If you own stocks, bonds, gold, cryptocurrency, we could whip up on a spreadsheet exactly what your net worth is. But if you own a house, but you don't know if you own a privately held business. I don't know what my net worth is, and I will never know because the private entrepreneurial space is probably the space I'm going to be in for the rest of my life. So there you go. Got my PR in Paraguay 5. I got my permanent residency. My permanent residency in Paraguay lasts like 8 years. Awesome. 1.5 years ago, before they changed the rules, I heard rumors that you need to visit more often than 3 years to keep it. Every Paraguay lawyer said come every 2 years. What say you? Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's correct. I think it's every 2 years or so. I believe that's right. I don't know. Good question. You know what we should do? We should have on this live stream, on this podcast. By the way, this is a podcast. If you prefer the audio version of this, go to, for this one, I have so many podcasts. CalebJones.com/podcast, brand new website. And you can listen to that. I'm on about the top 10 podcast platforms. What else? Finish up my net worth. Hang on. Before I lose my train of thought, you see all your questions there. Oh, something else I have this is my personal opinion now. I don't have any net worth goals. What? No, I don't have any net worth goals. What I have instead is I have a monthly residual after-tax income goal. So I have a goal of how much money I want my investments to spin off in a residual manner, 100% residual, passive, after taxes. And so I can backtrace that with a formula for a net worth. I do have a number in my head of what I need to be worth, but it's a guess. I don't know. Don't care. Number one. Number two, the way I do this, my net worth, whatever I have for my net worth, because of what I just talked about, I do not include the cost of any primary residence, which you shouldn't either. If you own a house, and most of you don't because you're in the collapsing West where it's too expensive, get out of the Western world. If you own a house, you can't include that for your net worth. You can't. Sorry. If you have any equity, you can't include that. Doesn't count. Doesn't count. Net worth is your net worth, assets minus debts outside of the value of your home. Okay. So if I have any private residences, or I have right now, I'm renting. But when I buy in the future, I'm not going to count that toward my net worth. End of story. Number one. Number two, what I do, I don't count the value of any of my companies in my net worth. So any network objective I have is outside of the value of my businesses, which is tough. You want to be worth $7, $8, $9 million, excuse me, 7, 8, 9 million figures outside of the value of your companies. That's hard. So that's how I handle this, because I don't know what my companies are worth, but I know what my investments are worth. All right. Hi, Caleb. How should someone decide which U.S. state to establish residency in if they are currently planning to move out of the country? Should it be one of the several states with no income tax? Yes. There's about 9 of them. I mean, I can name almost all of them. I play this game. Can I name all the states with no income tax? Texas, Florida, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Washington, Nevada, Florida, and 1 or 2 more, right? So one of those. When Billie comes on, she's going to have you can do her get residency in South Dakota service, which is happening twice this year. We'll talk about that. Ask Billie when she comes on. She'll probably want you to South Dakota. It's awesome. It's the easiest easiest state to get residency in before you leave. Don't leave the United States until you have moved your driver's license to a no income tax state, or else you're in big trouble. I've seen people do this. They live in California or New York or New Jersey, and they move out of the United States, and they're screwed. Now you got to pay like 11% income tax to the state. Ugh. Don't do that. Most difficult thing is finding and retaining customers. If you have no skills, I'm working in customer service. First of all, that's false. I've said this 10,000 times. If I sat down with you for 2 hours, and I'm not going to do this, but if I hypothetically sat down with you for 2 hours with a clipboard and grilled you with questions, I would come up with at least 2 marketable skills that you have right now. At least 2, probably more, at least 2. So that's incorrect. You have skills. What kind of skills would you recommend learning and how to get clients? Sales and marketing, sales and marketing, sales and marketing. Always start there. Would you recommend taking a course from Grant Cardone or Jordan Belfort to learn sales? I would. Either one of those guys. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. I would. If that's, you're reading my mind. Good job. Very good. Do you know any Alpha 2.0 repair businesses? Repair of what? That sounds location dependent to me, so probably not. No. Does Dubai have anywhere you can play poker or blackjack as of recent? I don't know the answer to that question. I think no. Gambling is not very Muslim, so I don't think so. But I have heard there's something around here. So I don't know. I stopped playing blackjack many years ago, so I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I should look that up. Look it up. Google it. I don't know. Repair electronics. No. How do you repair something location dependent? Alpha 2.0 business model means it's a location independent business where you can do everything location dependent. You do not have to be located in the same city or country where your customers are. How are you going to repair stuff? So no. Would it be a good idea instead of renting to buy a house for yourself in a non-Western country in order to protect yourself from the AI revolution? I saw your videos on it. I don't think it makes any big difference one way or the other. If you own or rent, I don't think it's going to make a big difference. If you want to save yourself the AI revolution, go to a non-Western country that will be the least affected. Paraguay. How effective will Paraguay be by the AI revolution? Yeah. You see my point? You see how safe you are? There you go. DSD Paraguay. What's DSD mean in Spanish? I don't know. What does that mean? Guido, I don't know. Guido Morales. I don't know. My Spanish sucks. My Espanol sucks. I thought it'd be much better by now. But with all the stuff I had to deal with last year, it kind of put a delay in my Spanish plans, my Espanol. So now that I'm going to be in Paraguay for 3 months, I'm going to improve my Espanol. So it won't be poquito Espanol. It'll be muy bien Espanol. How do you maintain a mailing address for the U.S. after expatriating for receiving documents, etc.? Earth Class Mail. And there's several services. Earth Class Mail gives you a mailing address in the U.S., and they send mail, they rip open your mail, and they scan it, make it a PDF, and they turn it into an email. That's great. I also cheat a little bit, and Pink Firefly helps you with some of my shipments in the U.S., and I have family there, worst case scenario. But Earth Class Mail. Now, that will not work. It will only work for paper mail and credit cards and things like that. It will not work for packages. Packages, you got to figure out. Get a UPS store if you need packages. But why are you going to get packages in the U.S.? There are several services. Pink Firefly was using a few of them, where you can ship a package to it. People in Paraguay use this. You ship a package to an address in the United States, and they automatically forward it to wherever you want in the world. There's several. Just Google around. There's several of those services. Is Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad real estate course good? Do you recommend? I've never done his course. I've read his books, and I like them. I don't agree 100%, but I like them. So, no. Oh, it means from. DSD means from. Desde. I know donde. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estáis? Roger Ver got arrested even though he no longer has U.S. citizenship. It seems no one is safe for the American empire. What is the scenario under which he got arrested? Because I don't know enough about that story. What is the scenario? Summarize the scenario for me. If you, as I've said about people like Andrew Tate 10,000 times, if you regularly poke the elites in the eye over and over again, say, fuck you, go ahead and come get me. I'm tough. Fuck you. You do that, you're going to lose. It doesn't matter what your citizenship is. Doesn't matter where you live. Doesn't matter how much money you make. Doesn't matter if you have six-pack abs. Doesn't matter how cool you are. Doesn't matter how rich you are. You're going down. If you walk up to elites and just keep poking them in the eye, you're in big trouble. I predicted this about Andrew Tate, and I was right. You can't do this stuff unless you're suicidal or I don't know. So that's the problem. So, you adopt a five flags model and you leave the elites alone. Notice I leave the elites alone. A, B, I don't talk too much about how much money I make or how much my net worth is. I don't talk about these things. I keep that kind of quiet publicly. I don't talk too much about the passports I'm working on. There's things I don't talk about publicly, and there's things I don't say publicly because I don't want to be the next Andrew Tate. Wind up in some jail because, I don't care. Plus, I'm Malcolm independent. If you watch my other channel, I don't care what the elites do. I don't give a fuck about society. Society can go fuck itself. Society destroyed itself. I don't give a shit anymore. And I really don't care about America. I don't live there anymore. I got to go back to the United States for 3 weeks. And I want to see some people there. I'm excited to see those people, but I am not looking forward to it at all. At all. And then my family wants me to come. God damn it. My family wants me to come back for Thanksgiving in November or Christmas in December. I don't want to go. I don't know. Let's see how we do it on time here. All right. A few more minutes and we'll bring Billy on. We'll get to our topics for Paraguay, Uruguay, and other good stuff. Left Canada as a tax resident. Went to Florida, not a U.S. citizen. I'm now looking to start services. A services company and work remotely. Can you recommend about how you would go about doing this? That is a very general question. I can't really answer your question. It's too general. How do I start a business, Caleb? I need more specifics in your question. I can do my best. Hey, Caleb, I've been in the corporate world for about 5 years now. Why are there so many women in managerial positions? Almost no men at all. Is this on purpose? It's not on purpose, but it's a societal result. We live in a post-masculine society now. If you watch my other channel, I went into detail about this. We live in a post-masculine society. More women are graduating college than men. More women in their 20s make more money than men in their 20s. Yeah, well, and if you're going to be a red pill, you're going to blame women for this. You should blame men for this. I don't care. So I don't give a shit if there's women or men. I don't care. I don't care about society anymore. Plus, I like women. So I don't care. But yeah, that's what happens. The IRS claims Roger Ver didn't report fully on his taxes on Bitcoin back years ago. Well, okay, so how much did he owe? Did he owe hundreds of millions of dollars? Then that wouldn't surprise me. If he owed a shitload of money, then the IRS is going to come after you. Yeah. but I don't know details. Like, what country was he in? How did they get him? Was he traveling? Did he, I don't know. I'd have to figure out the details on that. I still owe $16,000 in back taxes, $9,000 in student loans that I should pay off before I leave the U.S. and start my location-dependent business. Not relevant. Just leave. Keep paying your debts. Don't not pay your debts. Your taxes are not relevant to moving out of the country or not. I assume not your taxes, your debts. Just keep paying them. It's fine. Now, here's the thing about back taxes. If you owe more than 50, this is for you Americans now, you least free people in the world when it comes to taxes. If you owe $50,000 in back taxes or more, you will not be able to renew your passport. So you only owe $16,000, you're okay. But you get up to 50, you got a problem. So pay that down. Yeah. Are Paraguay and Uruguay good for both residency and citizenship? Define good. Paraguay's decent for citizenship. Uruguay's good for residency. Citizenship, I'm not sure. Billy will have more information on that. Bill's been doing all the research. Which criteria should I consider when deciding Paraguay versus Uruguay regarding residency? Paraguay is cheaper, but much lower on the economic scale. It's much more rough. Not great infrastructure. If you're cool with that and you want super cheap, Paraguay. If you're a little irritated by broken roads and shit that doesn't work because it's low-end stuff, Uruguay. Uruguay's better than Mexico. It's very good infrastructure there. Much more first world. And it's cheaper than the U.S., but it's not as cheap as Paraguay, not even near as cheap. So it depends what your priorities are and what you like. Is Hong Kong still a place to set up a business? Yes. Between Singapore and Hong Kong, would you choose? Hong Kong's a lot easier. Which country are you currently located? Dubai. My primary residence, my primary home is in Dubai. My second home is in Paraguay. So right now this year I'm going to spend 3 months in Paraguay. Starting next year, I will spend 4 to 5 months a year in Paraguay. It will literally be my second home. I just wrote an article about that. You can go read it in my blogs. Roger Ver was in Spain. Okay, that's problem number one. He's in Western Europe. You're not safe if you're in America. You live in Western Europe. They will extradite your ass. When he got arrested, owed $48 million in back taxes and crypto. Yeah, okay. Being sent to the United States for 30 years in prison, possibly. Yeah, okay, yeah. You owe millions and millions and millions of dollars in tax to the IRS. There is nowhere you can, I don't know if there's nowhere you can go. You're in big trouble. A. B, he's in Spain. You don't go to Spain. You want to hide from the U.S., don't go to Spain. Go to Mauritius. Go to Paraguay. Go to Bolivia. Don't go to Spain. But you should also pay your taxes. I mean, I agree with Andrew Henderson on this. Pay your taxes, obey the law, then you can sleep at night and don't worry about this stuff. Alpha Male 2 put on my other channel and talk about we follow the law. Because if you break the law, you get caught, you will not have no freedom. You'll be in prison. Moved from Europe and now living in Asuncion. Cool. It's great here. Cool. I'll be there soon. The elites seem to want to make international travel more difficult. Correct. And expensive. Correct. In the coming years. So I'm curious how it will go. 5 flags, as I describe it, will be impossible in about 10 years. Getting these residencies the way you can now will be impossible. You'll be fucked. So wherever country you're living in 10 years, unless you're very wealthy, you're stuck there the rest of your life. I hope it works out, you Americans, Canadians, Englanders, English, not Englanders, English, you Australians, New Zealanders. I hope you love it there. I hope he doesn't collapse. Is it bad to use revenge as a motivation to work on yourself? People have told me that it's not healthy, but that's been pushing me for the past year. Thoughts. Sometimes negative emotions and negative motivations can work better than positive. In a perfect world, no, I wouldn't want that to be your motivation, but if that works, yeah. However, revenge is very outcome dependent. You shouldn't care about the person who wronged you. You should let it go. I've talked about how I have some negative feelings that propel me. I have some fears, irrational fears about having no money when I'm old. That's scary for me. The only 2 things that scare me are having no money when I'm old and then dying, because I never want to die. I want to live forever. So that drives me, but that's not outcome dependent. Being mad at one person, I'm going to show that person because that guy fucked me over. That's very outcome dependent. So I don't like it. I struggle with outcome independence. Are you the same guy? Oh, different one. I keep grudges, fantasize revenge. How do I stop giving a fuck? Ask yourself, why do I care? Why do I care? Why do I care? Why do I care? Well, number 2, whoever you give a shit about wins. So if you're mad about someone, I tell my wife this all the time. If you're mad about someone, you're still mad, they win. They won. They won. They control your brain. They control your feelings. That sucks. All right, I'm going to bring on Billy in a minute. Billy, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. She can't hear me yet. Okay. Oh, you can hear me. Okay. I'll bring you on in 1 minute. Yes, I see. Billy's like, I'm holding up my thumb, asshole. My friend in Europe keeps saying I need to get out of the USA. That's ironic. Get out of the USA. It sucks, unlike here in London. You Americans are so dumb. You need to get out of there. It sucks, unlike here in Berlin. It's not awesome like here in Finland. Oh, God. Oh, that is pretty funny. I'm a citizen. Okay, one or two more questions. I'm going to bring on Billy. I'm a citizen of a EU country and Latin American country, not Paraguay. If I become a tax resident in Paraguay, actually, I'm going to bring on Billy. Hang on, because we'll just run right into these questions. Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
There, you have your thumbs up.
That's what you're looking for, right? That's a thumb.
Yeah, you were like, hey. There's a question. Do you scroll to the bottom of the list? And if you can address this question, you can. Otherwise, I'll address it. We'll answer a few questions. We'll get into our topic. The one from Peter James Waltz. It's toward the bottom. It's like the fifth from the bottom. You see that one?
I got it. If I become a tax resident in Paraguay, not live there, don't do business there, and open business in Belize, would I pay 0% tax? My answer to that is fuck if I know. I want to be real with you guys. I am not the tax expert. I can tell you about the country. I can tell you about the process for residency. That is not my wheelhouse, I'm afraid.
If you open a business, okay, let's see, you're a citizen of the UA country. If I become a tax resident in Paraguay and open a business in Belize, will I pay 0% tax? The answer is it depends on what the corporate tax in Belize is. You would pay that, but that's all you would pay. Because Paraguay is a territorial tax country, which is why it's awesome. So if you have any income coming from outside of Paraguay and you're a tax resident there, it's not taxed. You're only taxed on income you make inside Paraguay. And even then, because I've been looking at this, and Billy, I don't know if you've looked at this at all, but the taxes in Paraguay are like some of the lowest on earth. It's one of the lowest tax countries in the world for the taxes that it has. It's super low. It's awesome. So that's how it works. Caleb, could you comment on why you chose Paraguay over Uruguay for one of your home bases and the future farmland project? Paraguay ostensibly seems like it would be a more attractive candidate.
Can I answer that?
What? Yeah, sure.
I'd love to take that one. First of all, Paraguay costs about 20% of what it costs to live in the U.S. Uruguay costs about 56%.
Right.
Big difference.
Yep.
Here's the other difference. And I just learned about this recently because I was going to get my Uruguayan residency this year. I am no longer going to do that because they want you to stay in the country. The process takes between 9 and 15 months, and they want you to stay in the country for the majority of that time, if not all of it. So if you leave for 6 months, they don't take you seriously anymore, and they're going to ditch your application. So Billy is
real quick. How long do we know yet? How long you can leave during the 9 to 15 month period and be okay?
The most they said 3 months, but even any amount of time is really pushing it because they want you to demonstrate that your intent is to live in the country. Right. I've been speaking with lawyers for about 4 weeks now, multiple appointments every week to understand the processes and the pricing. And for me, it's just not feasible. I cannot dedicate 1.5 years of my life right now to living in Uruguay. So that is those are the two fundamental differences. The third, which isn't as imperative, depending on your perspective, is I believe Paraguay to be safer. When the world goes to hell,
true,
there is very little strategic advantage to having Paraguay. Those of you who've played Risk know this as well as I do. When every other country around you is bordered by the sea, and you are landlocked with very few exploitable resources other than land and water, no one cares about you. They're not digging under Paraguay to find gold, oil, they're digging and finding water that they sell. Right. Their infrastructure isn't going to be, if they have a difficulty getting fossil fuels, their infrastructure isn't going to be fucked the way the rest of us are, because their country is hydropowered. So of course, there's still infrastructure, etc., but they are not relying on any foreign fuels or any non-renewable resources. So from my perspective, I never thought I would bug out or get into this, guys. Never. I'm the one pushing for the farm in Paraguay. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I'm ready to buy land this year.
I might be ready this year. I'm getting an apartment this year. I'm getting my corporation this year. I'm getting a few things this year. I might get land. I don't know. I'm if not this year, then next year, soon.
I wouldn't wait.
Well, but I have other things going on. I may not. You and I will talk when we go down there. We'll talk about this. Okay. But and you might know more about this than I do, Billy. Paraguay has a whole bunch of statistics about how well off it is in terms of water. Water is going to become a scarce resource all over the world very soon. And technology may fix this eventually, but until then, it's going to be kind of a mess. Paraguay, for example, here's one fun fact. Paraguay is the only landlocked country in the world that has its own navy, because there's this gigantic river there, and there's plenty of water. There's hydroelectric power. They're fine in terms of water, even though they're landlocked. It's not like Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan or even Afghanistan. They're just landlocked in the middle of this desert, and they're just screwed. Paraguay is just fine for this kind of stuff. So it's sustainable, and no one gives a shit about it. Now, that being said, Uruguay is going to be pretty safe too. But if you compare Paraguay to Uruguay, Uruguay's safer. Excuse me, Paraguay's safer.
And less commitment at the outset. If you're ready to live abroad for a year straight away, awesome. Go to Uruguay if that interests you. And yes, German, I did say 12 to 15 months. It's actually 9 to 15 months.
9 to 15 months.
So time to have 1 or 2 kids that you have to stay in the country.
Well, now here's how you guys handle that. If you want to check out Uruguay and you're ready to leave, okay? Here's what you do. You join me and Billy for the Uruguay Uncovered event in July.
That is July 11th through the 14th.
Yes. So calebjones.com/events. Go there.
And we're going to be celebrating my birthday there. I'm going to literally be flying down on my birthday, landing obscenely early the next morning. So celebrate my birthday.
The 14th? Is it the 14th? What date is that?
Mine is the 10th, but the 11th is when I'll land.
So when am I flying out? Am I flying out the 11th or the 12th?
You're flying out the 11th.
Okay, that's right. And I go to sleep and that's right. Okay. Yeah. So here's how you handle this. These countries that are awesome but require you to stay there for a while to get your residency, here's how you handle this. You join me and Billy in July, and Dr. Andrew Wingy and a bunch of other people. Okay, you join us. You check it out for 4 days, and you see if you like it. Ideally, you spend a week there and see if you like it. This is what I did with Paraguay, Dubai, Armenia, Mexico. You see if you like it. If you like it, you go, oh my God, I love this place. And I've talked about this on other podcasts. When you go somewhere for a few days, you don't have to wonder if you like it. You'll be like, oh my God, I love it here. You'll know pretty quick. And so if you love it there, maybe you visit one more time, and then you go ahead and move there and get your residency, and then you're good. And then after your 9 to 15 months, you can start traveling again. But now you've got your residency, and then we'll talk about this later. But that's how you handle this. Now, if you don't want to live somewhere, but you want the residency as a backup plan, then you want to look at Paraguay, because Paraguay doesn't care. The 4 we talk about, Dubai, Paraguay, Armenia, Mexico, they don't give a shit. So you get your residency there, and now you're covered. You get permanent residency there. I have permanent residency in all 4 of those countries now, because they don't care. But if you want to actually live somewhere or actually have somewhere as a base, then you go ahead. I mean, I might do this with Mexico at some point, because Mexico, once you have your permanent residency in Mexico, you guys looking at this, you stay there for 6 months a year, not 9 or 15, 6 months a year for 3 years, they'll give you a passport. And it's a pretty good passport. So you just integrate that into your plans. If you only are looking for a plan B residency right now, then Uruguay's not going to be it. But if you're looking at somewhere to live and go, somewhere awesome, Uruguay's awesome. Uruguay is the shit. You'll love it.
And you want coastline. If you love LA, ocean, right. If you want to be on the ocean, but LA prices are killing you.
I forgot, right.
It's a huge win. But I wanted to address something that one of the guys mentioned earlier. Paraguay does cost about 20, I think it was 22 or 24% of the median cost of living in the United States. It is a very inexpensive place to live. We talk about this frequently.
Cheap as fuck.
Those of you who know me know I'm like the biggest food snob ever. I'm terrible. And some of my favorite restaurants are down in Paraguay, and they're $40 a plate for literally the finest steakhouses in the country.
Oh, the meat is so fucking good. I mean, that's a South American thing, but in Paraguay, it's so fucking good because the grass there is so, I mean, just, oh, it's so good.
Well, they think about their economy. For those of you who are into like clean, healthy eating and, you know, my body's a temple.
Yeah.
Their food is really organic down there for the most part. They don't have the money to pump out for chemical nitrogen fertilizers, for chemical herbicides, for
GMOs.
crops, right? Some genetically modified crops that we have those everywhere. But the things are really limited. They're constrained by budgets that American factory farms don't have. So the food that you're getting is much cleaner. The animals are not antibiotic fed. They're not feedlot fed.
Right.
They're grass fed. And I don't eat a lot of beef at home. Like I don't sit down and eat a steak.
I don't either.
But down in Paraguay, I'll do it 2 times a week easily.
Right.
It's the best beef I've ever had. Literally. And I lived on a farm in Wisconsin as a kid. I know my meat and dairy.
Yeah.
But it's incredible down there. I've had no other experience that rivals it when it comes to the quality of meat. And I just came back from Vegas. I see one of the guys met you, Caleb, down in Paraguay at the Paseo de Galleria, which is one of the fancy schmancy malls.
Oh, cool.
That we like, that has a bunch of restaurants. My favorite thing about that mall, Caleb, you might remember this, is in the corner, one of the really busy restaurants is a TGI Fridays.
Yes.
And then you move into like their local.
I've been there.
And a fancy one on the end.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. So yeah, any of you guys who are like, oh, I'm hungry listening to, yeah, just come down to Paraguay for the get to know event, and we'll show you. We'll show you.
Well, let's go through all that right now. Let's go through the processes for residency and stuff, and then we're getting a lot of questions. We'll rewind and get to your questions at the end. Cool. I don't want to get distracted. So first, here's what we should do, I think, and we could deviate from this. Let's talk about Paraguay first. Then let's touch on Uruguay, which we kind of did. And then you wanted to address Mexico too, which I think is a good idea. We should, for the changes there, right?
Let's actually start with Mexico, if you don't mind. I've been fielding a lot of calls about Mexico and Paraguay specifically. And one thing a lot of people don't realize is that you need to have a certain income level to get residency in Mexico. So not everyone on earth is going to qualify for that. And you need to be aware of that. So right now, the rate is around $4,500 US per month as an income, or a savings of, and this changed recently, so I might get it wrong, but it's right around $80,000 that you can prove has been in an investment or savings account for a minimum of 12 contiguous months.
What about the income? How many months they have to show that income? Is it 6 months or 12?
They prefer 12. They will accept 6.
Okay. So
now
we'll just reiterate. So that means 6 months, you guys, 6 months, $4,500 a month deposited in your account, average over 6 months. And you can show checking account statements. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
And they'll require you to do that. So for a Mexican residency, you need to plan an appointment with the Mexican consulate nearest you. You'll apply for that online. You will take proof of identity. So you'll take a copy of your birth certificate. You will take your passport, and you will take, what's the other thing, Caleb? Oh, your proof of income.
You have to bring
your bank statements. Bank statements.
That's all you need. Bank statements, passport.
And your birth certificate. If you're self-employed, bank statements are all you need. If, however, you are elsewhere employed, it's great to bring along your pay stubs just as a double down. Now, the reason we're not giving you exact amounts, guys, is because it varies from consulate to consulate. It's within like a small margin. But when I say $4,500, the consulate in Iowa might say $4,200, and the consulate in LA might say $4,675. I'm not going to give you a solid answer for what that number is because the Mexican government won't either. So no, it is roughly that much. If you're looking for permanent residency in Mexico, those numbers go up. So at that point, you need to prove something around $7,500 in monthly income and about $200,000 in savings.
However, correct me if I'm wrong, unless they've changed this, you can sign up for temporary residency in Mexico and just wait a year.
Yes.
And then you get permanent. That's what I did.
Yes.
So you can circumvent that.
Essentially, you're reapplying for permanent. So
right. And then they don't check all that shit because you're doing it in the country.
Oh, this is a great question. Eduardo asks if there's a recurring cost for establishing residency, or is that a one-time fee? So when you reapply, Caleb, what does it cost in Paraguay?
So good question. So let's talk about Mexico and Paraguay. So Mexico, you to reapply is like nothing. It's like $80,
$30 or something. Yeah,
something ridiculous. But you got to go there. You have to physically go to Mexico to do it. So I was in Guadalajara because that's my favorite city. You have to physically go. You got to go within 12 months. You put on your calendar. Okay, I got to go. And this is how I do it. I have a 5 flags calendar. And I go, okay, I got to be in Mexico by this date. I got to be in Armenia by this date. We're going to do this. So you have to know what you're doing. You go back. It's nothing. Okay. But here's the beauty of Mexico. For those of you interested in this, Mexico is the only true, well, not the only, one of the few only true permanent residencies in the world, meaning, and I have videos about this, most countries, including Paraguay and Dubai and countries I like, when they say permanent residency, it's not permanent. You got to renew it in a few years, but it's like 5 years or 8 years or 10 years. You still have to renew it. It's not permanent. Mexico is permanent. So once you get permanent residency in Mexico like I've got, you don't ever have to go back ever again. You don't do shit. You don't have to renew it. You don't do anything. It's yours forever unless you commit a crime or something. So there's no renewal costs on Mexico after the first year. Awesome. Paraguay, the renewal for Paraguay, let me think this through a minute. It depends on whether or not you have cedula, because there's another fee for your cedula, which you should get if you're serious about Paraguay. If you just want the residency for Paraguay as a backup, you don't need, go ahead. Yes.
Cedula is your national ID card. And that is what allows you to open a bank account or take on a rental
apartment. Yeah. Do anything.
It is. So if you plan on living there, if you plan on banking there, you will need a cedula.
Yeah.
And
if
that's
you want
to about $2,000.
Yes. It's a hunk of money. It sucks. But it doesn't cost much to renew. I try and remember off the top of my head. You do have to renew if you have temporary residency. It's 1 to 2 years. And it's like $800, I think, at the most. I think. I don't know. I don't remember. I should know that. I should know these numbers.
We'll find that out.
Yeah, we should know these numbers. I forgot. And again, like it's the first time's the most expensive time, and then it's cheaper after that. And then it's like, then you get similar to Mexico, similar. I have now permanent residency in Paraguay, which lasts 8 years. Now, in terms of whether to get cedula, it's a good point. We should address that. Billy kind of said it. If you want to use Paraguay as a real flag, you're going to do stuff there, you should get cedula. Now, you don't have to get it immediately. You can wait a year and get it later if you're tight on cash. That's okay. If you just want...
It's a thing that takes maybe a couple of weeks at the most. It is a very short process.
It's not a big deal.
You do not need to be there to receive it. You do need to be there.
Correct. You don't need to be there to receive it because mine's still there. Juan Pablo still has mine in his office. I'm just going to pick it up when I come. So if you just want it as like a backup thing to just have access to the country and you don't give a shit about doing anything there, I guess you can just get residency and you can go there and not worry about them shutting down a pandemic. Though you get access to the country. So residency without a cedula gets you guaranteed access to the country as long as your residency is valid. And that's all it really gives you. If you want to rent an apartment, start a corporation, open a bank account, be taken seriously, you need that cedula. So that's how that works. Let's see. What else do we want to say about Paraguay? Oh, Paraguay. Some of you asked about citizenship. The way it works in Paraguay, and it used to be a lot easier, but this gets harder every year because that's how this works. Once you have, I believe you need permanent no, you don't need permanent. Once you have any residency, cedula or not, if you want a passport in Paraguay, it's similar to Uruguay. You have to physically be in the country for 9 months in a calendar year, 3 years in a row. And then you can apply for it. And it's not guaranteed, but most likely you'll get it. So it's 9 months a year, 3 years in a row. Similar to Mexico, it's 6 months a year, 3 years in a row. Paraguay, it's 9 months a year, 3 months in a row. And then 3 years in a row. And there's another way you could get it, which I'm looking at doing, is that if you have a financial stake in the country. So if you're there a few months a year, but not maybe 9 months, but you can show you have a business, you have employees there, you own land, you have investments, you have a farm, you have a ranch, you have a company with employees, and you're contributing to the economy, you can apply for a passport and you may get it, you may not, especially if you have advocates, like if you know attorneys well, if you know people in government. It's kind of a who you know thing in South America. You can do that too.
That's why Auntie Billie got to know a few people in governments on our first trip.
That's right. So if you actually want to do this, we could probably help you. We don't have a fee for that. We'll have to figure out something. But so that's something else you can look at. But that's once you have a lot of infrastructure there. That's one of the reasons I'm setting up infrastructure there for a number of reasons. One of the reasons I'm looking at land there. One of the reasons I'm starting a corporation. I want to show economic activity with myself in Paraguay. So when I apply for a passport, which I will do at some point, I can say, look all this money I'm bringing to your wonderful country. So you can do that too. It's just not guaranteed. It's whoever you get on the day you get it. And some bureaucrat says yes or no. It's government. You know, that's how it works. Let's see.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the requirements. We'll circle back to Paraguay because we definitely have more questions. But I want to talk a little bit about the documentation differences because people ask about this often as well.
Between Mexico and Paraguay?
Yeah, and Uruguay. So Uruguay and Paraguay are very, very similar. Mexico is different to those two countries. So for Mexico, you take all of your stuff to your visa appointment. That would be your birth certificate, your passport, and your proof of income. You will then get a residency visa, and then you skip your way down to Mexico, bringing those same documents with you. You hand it over, and our legal team takes care of you. You will go to 2, possibly 3 different legal appointments while you're there. Usually it's 2, but if there are any questions, we have you stay an extra few days just to make sure if anything crops up, we're there. We can handle it before we send you home.
Right.
So that is pretty straightforward. You can usually order your birth certificate and get it within a week or 2, regardless of what country you're from. It's very straightforward.
And you don't need to apostille anything.
Correct. No authentications or apostilles are needed for Mexico.
So Mexico, there's an income requirement, but the document requirement is very light compared to most other countries. It's great in terms of docs.
Exactly. In fact, they don't even ask for any kind of background check at all.
They don't care. No, that's an important point. We get emails. If you've committed a crime, you have something, a criminal record or whatever from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, Mexico does not give a shit. Paraguay will, and Uruguay probably will. But
yes, they do.
Okay.
So the difference, Paraguay and Uruguay, you don't need a visa to go there in many cases. If you're American or European, Canadian, South American, there are many circumstances under which you don't need a visa. Some people like Pakistan, India, you will need a visa, but they're not impossible to get by any stretch.
No, they're easy.
Let me repeat that. We have means to help you get what you need, even if you're from a trickier country that requires a visa.
We've done it.
But you need to do some preparatory work if you're going to choose Paraguay or Uruguay. And part of that preparation is getting your federal criminal background check. So if you're in the US, that is your FBI criminal background check with fingerprints. So what you'll do is you'll find a company online who will do digital fingerprinting, or you will go to your post office or your local police station and ask for a fingerprint card. You submit that to the FBI electronically or by mail, and you'll get it back within about 2 weeks. It's never really taken longer than that. It's very fast. So you get that back, and here comes the tricky part.
Yeah, here's the part.
We have to send that off to the federal government for apostille, which is their way of authenticating a document that says, yep, our government issued this document. It's real. Paraguay, go ahead and use it. And it is apostille specifically for Paraguay or Uruguay. So you can only use it in that country. That process in the U.S. takes about a month.
Forever.
It used to be.
Well, is it a month? It's down to a month now, right?
I've done 2 of them in the last month, and I've gotten them back in 16 days and 22 days, respectively.
Wow. So it used to be 3 months, guys.
Yes.
Like during the pandemic, it was a fucking nightmare.
Until 6 months ago. This is very recent that they've caught up with
Yeah.
the backlog. So I'm
Yeah.
still telling people 6 weeks because I don't want to misinform you. I'd rather that we have some padding, but it does take 6 weeks to get that document back. Until we get that document back, we can do nothing.
Right.
It used to be that we could say, hey, we applied for it. We don't have it yet. We go down to Paraguay on our merry way. They process everything, wait for that document to come and give the residency. On our trip in July last year, which was my second visit, the day after we landed, the Paraguayan government changed that law. We were no
Yes.
longer able to submit documents after or during processing. It had to be at the onset of processing. So if you want to do Paraguay or Uruguay, it takes a little more advanced planning. Now, you don't need to submit any financial records. They don't care about that. What they will ask for are marriage certificates if you've ever been married, divorce certificates if you've ever been divorced,
Yep.
and your birth certificate. All of these things will need to be apostilled or authenticated. And I'm seeing a note here that says the way that Canadians apostille is unaccepted in Paraguay. Okay, so we'll have to talk about that offline. I've not run into any problems.
That's not correct.
With authentication.
They don't require apostille. They don't require apostille. It's not accepted.
Canadians require authentication, not apostille.
Right. It's not apostille.
So that may be where you're.
We've had Canadians do our service, haven't we? Or not? We've had
I've done Canadians, Czech, Dutch, Spanish, Indian, Pakistan. Just wait. Where is Osman from? Yeah, Pakistan. Australia. All over the place, guys. All over.
Now, really quick, I just put on the ticker if you're watching the video. This is the last day to sign up for Paraguay Get Residency, joining Dubai. Billie and myself in July. If you want to do the event with the residency, this is the last day. Now, if you want to join us in Paraguay to check it out, to get to know Paraguay, you want to talk? Let's talk about that. The get to know Paraguay service.
Yeah,
it's cheaper to do that.
It's cheaper. It gives you a chance to get to know it, and it gives you a chance to hang out with Caleb and I, which I think is pretty special. Basically, what we do is we go down for 5 days. This trip is going to be July 15th through the 21st. And we rent little apartments in a very cute little apartment building. It has about 20 units with a gym and a little pool upstairs and a meeting room. So we each have our own apartment. We can come and go as we please. We have doormen. It's very safe. It's a really easy walk, about 3 blocks to the shopping mall, 3 blocks to a really nice park that sometimes has like musicians, etc. And about 4 blocks to a very nice supermarket that I love. It's kind of like going to Whole Foods, but paying 10% of the cost. It's amazing. It's like the cleanest. Labor is so cheap down there that everything is so clean, so tidy, and so pristine. It's great. So anyway, you can cook, and live like a local. That's the idea. But there are also tons of restaurants and activities nearby within easy walking distance. So essentially what happens is on the first night, we have a get together, like a meet and greet kind of mixer. Sometimes the first night, but sometimes the second night, we will have sort of a social dinner at our apartment building. We'll invite some locals and some expats who now live in Paraguay. We have some American and some German expat friends who can come in and, speak to their experiences. I usually bring a bartender and a chef in, and they'll cook local food for us right in our meeting room. They have the big traditional oven thing that's wood fired. So they'll cook us dinner. We'll sit and eat. We'll talk to the expats and the local business owners who kind of give us their experience in the country. And then because we're total dorks, we watch an episode of the TV show Parts Unknown with that badass chef Anthony Bourdain, who he died a few years ago. But we honor him by watching his episode that he filmed down in Paraguay. And it turns out his grandfather is buried only about 2 miles away from where we stay in
Oh, really? I
Paraguay
didn't know that.
at a
That's
really
in
beautiful
Villa
old
Mora?
cemetery. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
the one on Villa
Okay.
Mora as you're headed toward like the federal bank building.
Cool.
So super, super cool when we learn fun facts like that. We're also going to do an outing together. So we'll do like a historic outing where we'll check out, maybe art museums. I actually really like the museum at the Federal Bank. It's really small, but they'd let you handle artifacts, and we can get cool like Paraguayan silver and gold coins, which I like. What else do we do? And we're also going to do an outdoor excursion because one of my favorite things to do is make Caleb uncomfortable. And I'm an outdoor adventure girl. So we are definitely doing at least one outdoor adventure with Caleb. I think probably it's going to involve boating on the Paraguay River this time.
Yeah, we got to do a river thing. I haven't done that yet.
Yes. And some of the other opportunities, we set people up with a group WhatsApp so you can all come and go as you please. Yep. You can join the group if you want to. If you prefer not, that's great too. If you're like Caleb and I and you need some recharge alone time, aces, we get it. But the idea is that you always have people to break off with and follow your own interests. And myself and the people that we know down in Paraguay are happy to help with referrals, recommendations, and even to take you places. Last time we visited, my friend Andre actually took a bunch of the guys to his country club for the day and did a bunch of activities together. So you even have the opportunities to go out and check out properties in the agricultural land with us too, because that's definitely something I'm doing. I'm ready to build our expat community down there. And I don't want a lot of land, but I want enough that I don't have to see people, just like here. So that's really something that we're baking into this. So it's the entire experience and hanging out with us at least 3 times.
And the Get Residency event happens at the same time. So if you're getting residency, you can do, I think, all these things, right, Billy, or most of these things. Okay, it's the same thing. All of them. Okay, so if you get all the stuff in the Get to Know, if you do the Get Residency event, and we have, as always, we could also get you residency in those 4 countries, including Paraguay, and you go down whatever you want, but you go down by yourself. But we support you remotely. If you want to go down with us, that's what we're talking about here. So that's Caleb, www.caleb.top/go or
bosscooperative.com/events.
Yeah, there's both lists are on both sites. So calebjones.com/events, bosscooperative.com/events gives you all the events. The top.go thing only gives you the residency stuff. So you should probably go to
put it in the chat.
Billy's site or my site, calebjones.com/events. What Billy and I are planning on doing tentatively, and I'm going to do this. We don't have all this fleshed out yet. Matter of fact, Billy probably has a better idea than I do. Is that I also would like to get land. I've talked this a long time. I want to get land in Paraguay. I would like to get either ranch land or farmland. I would like to own land down there. Billy wants to have, and I think I want to do this too, some sort of community down there where you guys who are serious, you can come down there, either get your own place or Airbnb it or something like that. We're going to build that up over time. Billy and I will talk more about this when her and I go down there. But I have big plans for Paraguay in terms of my life. Those of you read my blog, I just wrote a big blog article about how I'm expanding my footprint in Paraguay. I'm going to spend, instead of this, up till now, I've been spending about maybe 1 to 2 months a year sporadically down there. This year, it'll be 3 months down there. Starting next year, it'll be 4 to 5 months, probably 5 every year in Paraguay, from like when the weather is good. So like from May till about September, October-ish. And the rest of the time I'll be here in Dubai and traveling and things like that. So this is a place that I'm really doubling down on for all the reasons we've talked about. The fact that it's such a sustainable country, the fact that no one gives a shit about Paraguay, the fact that it's super cheap, the fact that it's one of the easiest residencies in the world, the fact that people are really nice and are very friendly to foreigners. A lot of people not a lot of people speak English. That's the one challenge there. That's the one challenge, but I don't care. Who cares?
If you have one of these, you're fine.
Google, you have Google Translate.
Guys,
I've talked about this. I have done deals with Google Translate with people who do not speak English. I have dated women with Google Translate with women who didn't speak. It doesn't matter. It's fine. It's a little bit of a hassle, but it's fine. And then if you spend time down there, you'll start learning things. So not a big deal.
It is that it's so true. And I know that's a big issue for a lot of people. At least it was for me. And that's one of the things I hear the most is I don't speak Spanish and I'm worried about that.
Right.
Dudes, I know enough French to speak to a toddler, enough German to get into trouble, and no Spanish at all. So what I learned to say is, I'm sorry, I'm a stupid American. And what happens is, is that people like pat me on the back. They're eager. They like crowd
Very
around and
friendly.
try to help. Um, it's
Very
hilarious.
friendly. Yep.
And one of the I've never had the experience where I felt like a superstar of any kind because I'm just, I'm just a business auntie. But walking down the streets there is something different. I was walking with a really dark-skinned young man from Nigeria, like this beautiful young black man, and me, this little plump redhead. Both we are both very unusual looking in that country. And people were stopping and staring at us. And then they would approach and just be really kind. But it was hilarious because I've never felt that before. And
You're
it
going to
was
start
even
getting
better with
recognized.
him. He said
The
he was
next piece,
good company too.
yeah. The next piece that's going to start happening to you is you're going to start getting recognized by people from this audience. Because every time I go there, I'm every time I go down there, Caleb Jones, oh my God, every time, at least 3 or 4 people, because it's such a the population is smaller, and all the expats kind of hang out in the same 2 or 3 areas. So that's going to start happening to you. People are going to start going, oh my God, it's Billy. So watch, maybe even this time.
I'm game, guys. I'm game. It's fun.
Yeah. There you go.
But I'm actually going to make it. I never thought I would make it part of my life. I love where I live. I'm in northern Wisconsin in the forests and the fields. It's beautiful. It's quiet. I love it. But the reality is I'm starting to I miss Paraguay when I'm not there.
Me too.
And I've really understand that, like right now my lilacs are blooming. I love it. It's great. Spring is wonderful. Why is it so wonderful? Because we had 6 months of fucking snow. I don't like snow very much anymore.
Oh, okay.
So Paraguay is coming nearer and dearer to my heart. And
Me too.
I'm really excited to bring more people down there because it's fun. Also, the guys have mentioned, Caleb mentioned, you mentioned this earlier. I've made connections with people who speak. I've gone to get massages, guys. I speak no Spanish. I'm using my cell phone. The chiropractor who owns the massage place only speaks German and Spanish, and his staff only speaks Spanish. I don't know what the hell's going on, but they were really kind and really patient. They thought it was funny and amusing. And I've seen guys, even like a Czech guy that you and I both know from the Czech Republic, who had 2 girlfriends basically for our entire 2-week visit. And the guys joked that we should get Auntie Billy a scoreboard because my apartment's usually a few floors up. So I could score your dates as they come through the courtyard. So that might be a service that we provide also.
Dude, the group last year, there was like 13 guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the majority of them, we don't need to get the specifics on this channel. This is not a dating channel, but just to throw this out there as another benefit to location dependent lifestyle, the majority of them got lucky down there and it was easy. The majority. I mean, I think I'm right. More than
and the
half
ladies
of them, right?
the women are very lovely, and they're very petite. So if that's your type, they're awesome. If you're like me and you prefer dudes, they're really tiny. So go for the European imports, just like you would with your car.
Right. If you're a woman, you're going to have to be a little more selective. But if you're a guy, I'll talk about this more on my other channel about Paraguayan women and how they look different. They're smaller. They're not gorgeous. They're cute. It's a very certain look. Not for everybody, but for some people, it's fucking great.
But it's also culturally really interesting. Not to dork out too much, but Paraguay is one of the only countries in the world that uses the indigenous language as one of the official languages still today after being colonized. Right. So they have Guarani, which is the local language, which I understand is more like Chinese than any of the languages that we're familiar with that are German based.
Yeah, no,
right, and then Spanish as well. So it's really neat, and people have the features because they were encouraged to breed with the locals. I mean, not to use crass language, but we're going back several hundred years. I'm just going to use their lingo. But rather than importing their women, they encourage them to intermingle with the local population. So it's very different than a lot of places.
Yeah, it is, because you have half the people are white and half the people are the mestizo, kind of more Mexican looking. So the darker skin. So you have both. But even the white people are Latinas. So they have the Latina features, but they have white skin like Billie and I. But you can tell they're still kind of a Latino, because that's Billie's right. That's the Europeans and also the Argentinians coming over and mixing with the locals. So you have white people and you have dark people, and they're both they intermix. It's all the same thing. It's interesting. And what's interesting about that? What's that?
I just love it. I just prefer not 5 foot tall dudes.
Well, you're a woman, you need a big guy, and the guys are not big there. They're small. There's a few big guys there, but most of them are though. But the women are very tiny. But I like that. But again, it goes back to your type. Really quick, and then we'll go to questions. Was there anything else you want to talk before we go to questions? Did we cover everything? I think we did.
Oh, yeah. So the actual process, guys, is really easy. We bring you down to Paraguay as for about 10 days, the same as we do in Mexico, so that we have a few extra days of padding. You'll have 3 appointments, possibly 4 if you get a cedula, but often we can get it done in 3. And the first meeting is really casual. We basically go to the shopping mall, Shopping del Sol, get our pictures taken for Interpol, and have a coffee with the legal team, and that's it. So the meetings are easy. They do not take all day. They're usually like half a day at the most.
In the morning, and then you're home.
Yeah, most of the time that you're down there is going to be your own time. Not only to hang out with us, but to split off with other members of the group, or to just go do your own thing. So I think it's important to remember, I'm an INFJ, for those of you who asked. So yes, I'm definitely introverted. I turn on my auntie skills for the amount of time that we're there, but I'm not going to go out to bars with you or something like that. First of all, I'm not a bar girl, but I'm not going to be out partying with you at night. This girl goes to bed at like 10 or 9.
Well, you'll do karaoke and shit. You'll stay up.
I'll do it once in a while. I'll do it like as a special event.
I saw you in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. We definitely sang karaoke in Vegas. Caleb didn't come to that one.
No, Caleb needs his beauty sleep. Caleb needs to go to bed. Caleb's an old man. Go to sleep.
That's true. You've got all those 2 years on me.
That's right. I'm old.
But, the idea is we'll set you up for the experience that you want to have. And I think even scaredy cats like me who'd never left the country before, I literally took my trip to Paraguay is the first time I went anywhere other than Canada. And I went completely by myself, and I was scared shitless on every single level.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
And then once you got there, you were fine.
I really was. People were really kind, kind. And it really helps that the airport is really safe. So there are not.
Paraguay is one of the safest countries in South America.
I walked around in the evening by myself. I wouldn't do that in like Chicago. I live near it. I live near Minneapolis. I would maybe do it in some neighborhoods. But I felt pretty comfortable in the neighborhoods where we stay, walking around alone. We even went to the street market, the what is it, Cuatro Mercado?
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be really scary, like, terrifying. And it wasn't. We ate questionable street meat. We walked around the stalls. There were only 3 of us. We had a great time.
Yeah. There's crime there like anywhere else except Dubai. But, it's not, it's safer. Just like when I talk about Mexico, but it's safer than Mexico. It's safer than most of the U.S. I've done a whole video you guys can watch on this channel, on the YouTube channel, how crime rates are rising all over the Western world, including the United States. And you have cities that are on par with cities in Africa in terms of crime rates. That's not happening in Paraguay. Crime isn't rising in Paraguay. It's getting lower as the infrastructure improves. And I'll repeat the thing I always say about Paraguay. And Billy, I don't know if you've noticed this. I guess you might notice it this year. Now that this is your 3rd year. Every time I go to Paraguay, every time, and I've been going there since 2018. Going there a lot. Every time I go there, that ride from the airport into downtown, which I always take, there's improvements. It's better. Every time you go there, the streets have improved. There's new buildings that are nice. The old crappy buildings, what few they have, are torn down and they're gone. If there's trash, they clean it up. It gets better every time you go. Whereas whenever I go back to Portland, Oregon, to visit my family. Every time I go there, it's noticeably worse. There's more homeless people. There's more shitty infrastructure. There's more drug shit going on. It's disgusting. So that's my big appeal of Paraguay, is that it's just like I talked with Dubai and Paraguay, both. They're growing. They're getting better every year instead of most of the West, which is getting worse every year. And I'd rather be in countries that are doing better every year and make long-term investments in terms of not just my money, but my life and my emotions, which is a big part of this. My life, my future, my emotions, which I've had to really think about a lot last year and a half. Where do I want to base my emotions in the next phase of my life as I move into the next phase, the next few years? Where do I want to base myself as my being? I know I'm talking a little woo-woo, but you get my point. Do I want to base this in countries that are going down and getting worse, where everyone's pissed off and crime's getting worse and homelessness is getting worse and taxes are going up and inflation is going up? Or I want to go to places like Paraguay and Dubai that get better every year. In the case of Paraguay, noticeably better every year.
I'm looking forward to that because it's only a couple months away. I'm wicked excited to go back.
Yeah.
And to put the flag there. I mean, it's definitely, I think this year, within the next 12 months, that is going to be my 50th birthday present to myself, is getting a property down in Paraguay. And by the time we go down there, our Czech friend purchased 2 apartments actually right after our visit last year in March. So that he bought them on spec from the developer. So by the time we go down there, his apartments should be built, which will be
really? So they'll be done in July or longer?
I think June.
I want to go see. So let me know. I want to go see.
I will.
Cool. What part are they in the north? What part of town are they in? Or can
Villa
you
Mora.
say? Huh?
Villa Mora.
Oh, they are in Villa Mora?
Yeah.
Oh, they're right in our neighborhood. Oh, fuck, dude. I want to see them. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I want to talk to him about that.
Our friend Alessandro, the developer, helped a few.
Well, it's cool that you're doing it. You can do it first, and then you can help me do it when I do it. Maybe that's how we'll do it. Because I'll rent somewhere year round now. I'll get that. I want to get that done. Just to have someone, instead of buying something, I'll just rent something for now, and then maybe next year. Because if I do it, I want to do it. You
have to talk to that guy that we know.
Yes,
definitely.
Remind me. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of. I have a big to-do list when I go down there. Yeah,
we have a bunch of guys that we know down there.
Yeah. Okay.
A whole bunch.
Let's do questions. Really quick. Some of you are talking about Mercosur, and I'll address your specific questions in a second. I always forget to mention this benefit. When you get residency in Paraguay and you get the cedula, you need cedula to do this. You are now a Mercosur resident, which means under many scenarios, especially if you're going by land, you can go into most countries in South America without even a passport. So, for example, you can take the bus or even a plane to Cidade del Este, which is the other little town they have in Paraguay, which is the border of Brazil. You can walk to Brazil. You're at the border right there. And Argentina in some cases. You just flash your cedula, if they even ask. You flash it and they let you in. It's awesome. So you have now visa-free access to all these countries by being a Mercosur resident. It's awesome. Now, then I get questions about, well, can I get my residency in Paraguay and go to Brazil and stay there for 2 years? No, at least not legally. But you get my point. It opens up all of South America for you as a travel region for you, similar to getting like a Schengen passport in Europe. It works the same way.
We always forget it's not just South America; it's also Spain.
Oh, that's right, in Spain. I keep forgetting it's Spain. Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of Paraguayans will move to Spain because they have family there. Yeah, that's right. It's true.
Here's one thing that I found is really interesting is that you cannot get a direct flight from the United States into Asuncion, Paraguay, which is the capital city. But you can get a direct flight from Madrid.
Of course.
So it is easier for Europeans to get there than it is for this girl in the northern part of the U.S.
Briefly, they had Miami flights. Remember that about 2 years ago?
And Houston, they had either Houston and Miami.
Yeah, just for like a year. And it was only like 3 planes. But again,
during the pandemic, and then they shut it down.
And then they fucking shut down, I know. However, that's both a disadvantage and an advantage. And I've mentioned this. Traveling to Paraguay is kind of a pain in the ass. And it is. But that's also its strength. Again, no one goes there. No one knows about it. No one cares. If they can, it's too much work. It's out in the middle of nowhere. And my joke is most Americans, especially Americans, you say Paraguay, they go, what's that? They don't know what it is. So that's good. You want somewhere off the beaten path in terms of your long-term state? Those of you looking like to be safe?
Yeah.
I mean,
There
I'm
is
safe in
no
Dubai, but
tourist
everyone knows what
economy.
Dubai is. No one knows what Paraguay is.
Yeah, no, Paraguay does not have a tourist economy because,
Right.
again, their neighbors have water assets, beachfront assets. And if you're
Right.
traveling to South America to a hot climate for a vacation, you're probably going to holiday on the beach.
Right. And as I've said many times, you guys who think if America collapses, the whole world's fucked. No, I've said this. If America collapsed tomorrow morning, which would be bad, there'd be problems in lots of other countries. But Paraguay, people in Paraguay would not even notice a difference. They would not even notice it happened. They'd hear about it on the news and go, oh, that's bad. And they would go right back to their lives. There'd be no difference in Paraguay because all of the trading partners are either have nothing to do with America or very peripheral. It's a very local based economy. There you go. Okay, let's get to questions here. I'm going to scroll up. In the massive bundle, do you have a recommendation for the first course to start and which one to leave for last? It depends on what your focus is because it's every course I have. So it's up to you. What is your area of focus? Starting a business? Is it a relationship thing? Start with what makes sense to you. Start with the video courses first or the books that make
the
sense
Unchained
first.
Man part of that bundle, Caleb?
Yes, there's two. So you get everything, which is both brands, or you can get just Unchained CEO or just Alpha 2.0, or you get everything.
I think the most awesome starting point that I hear from Caleb's clients is the Unchained Man book. We have guys in the audience who read it every year and have been doing so for a decade or 8 years, whatever it is. So based on that feedback, start there. Do yourself a favor, start there. It's really going to help you get outside of some of your limiting beliefs and help open your brain to receive this other knowledge that Caleb is imparting.
Let's see. My question is more about if it's okay to be a tax resident in Paraguay and have a business in Belize at the same time, or would there be any conflict with those? There's no conflict. You can be, with rare exception, you can be a resident. I talk about country A, country B, country C. Your country A is where you spend most of the year. Your country C is where you base your business. It doesn't matter. Countries don't care, with rare exception. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example. You could go to Armenia and start a company in Azerbaijan because they hate each other, right? Other than these weird examples, it doesn't matter. You're fine.
Right.
Let's see. Combining 5 flanks. How are you going to deal with getting your health care now that you're going to be living in Paraguay for longer stretches? So it's the same thing. The way I handle it is I have my testosterone stuff that I got to get once every 6 months from the USA. There are other ways I could get it, but they're less solid. Let's put it that way. There are other pharmacies I could access, but I want 100. I'm putting this in my body, so I want to make sure it's good. So that won't change. I'm still going to get that stuff physically for the United States once every 6 months. I'm going back there in June. I'm going to stock up on all my stuff, and then either I'll physically go to get it or I'll have someone bring it down to me because you can't ship it. Same exact thing. And then my main appointments that I need are usually scheduled appointments, and I do those in Dubai where the healthcare is really good. The only healthcare I have to worry about in Paraguay is if I get in an accident. And then I have expat insurance, which is like $140 a month, and that'll cover that, and that's not a big deal. So my main stuff, blood tests, if I'm going to get a colonoscopy, I'm going to do those in Dubai. I'm going to be in Dubai most of the year.
Like, there's no reason not to have that healthcare done in Paraguay because many of their practitioners are trained in Europe and the US.
Correct.
Especially because there are so many German expats.
Right.
Ukrainian, Russian as well, but primarily
and Korean expats. There's the whole Korean community there, amazingly.
Yeah, there are some big expat communities, and there are some very, very well-trained doctors in that country. I personally have no fear at this point of being served there versus being served in the middle of Wisconsin.
I have no problem getting into an accident, or if I need healthcare there, I have no problem. And here's the other thing too, and I've mentioned this before. In places like Paraguay, emerging market countries, they all have, and Paraguay has this too, they all have what the quote fancy fancy hospitals, fancy, more expensive for them doctors, for rich people who live there and for Westerners who live there. So you're not going to go to these horrible, disgusting hospitals that maybe some of the poor people would need to use there. That doesn't apply to you and me. You're going to go to the best hospitals, the best doctors in the country, literally.
And they're inexpensive. When we talked about cost of living earlier, I wasn't exaggerating. For those of you who know, I broke my back a long time ago, like 15 years. So I have a lot of mobility issues still and a lot of pain. So I get therapeutic medical massage, chiropractic adjustments, all sorts of crap done. I did it when I was there. Every 3 days, I'd get an adjustment and a massage. A 90-minute massage with two people working on you is like $40.
Yep. It's awesome.
Yep. It's ridiculous. And they're extremely well trained. The facility is great and clean. No complaints. And also one of the friends I met down there, and you met her too, Adriana is a surgical nurse. So that is her background, is literally being in the operating theater. So, and those are the kinds of people we introduce you to when you come down with us, whether it's to get residency or to check out the country.
How do I set up, as a Canadian, how do I set up a professional service business that works with US and Canadian companies and takes advantage of the Paraguayan low tax system? You can't unless you go to Paraguay and spend most of the year there. This is based on where you live. So if you stay in Canada, I'm sorry, you're going to pay Canadian taxes. We've been through this several times, and maybe you're new, but if you pay taxes for the most part based on where you spend most of the year. So if you're in, it doesn't matter what your passport says unless you're an American. So if you're a Canadian and you spend time in Canada, you're going to pay Canadian taxes. Sorry. You go down to Paraguay, you can set up an online business in Canada, go to Paraguay, and now you pay 0% taxes coming into Paraguay. And then you won't pay taxes in Canada because you won't be a tax resident in Canada. That's it. That's how you do it.
But that residency is a key part, guys.
Yes,
you need to have at home and have this magically happen, unfortunately.
Right.
And
you need to show proof that you have ties to the country. Right. So for me as an American, my tax status is here in Dubai. If I ever get audited, and it's as easy, I have all this stuff. I have to show that I have a year-round apartment in my name. I have bank accounts here. I spend more than 183 days a year here. I have a gym membership here. Clearly, I live here. So you have to, same thing for you guys. If your governments ever get pissed off, especially you Americans, Canadians are a little easier, a little bit. You got to show proof that you really do live there. Live as in spend most of the year there. That's what live means. Unless you're going to Australia, live there means 1 week a year, but I went through that last time. So yes. Let's see. Is there if the world goes to shit, isn't every country going to be unsafe to live in? No, I just talked about that with Paraguay. Incorrect. Paraguay, you'll be just fine. Dubai, you'll be fine in most cases. There might be some economic stuff if America collapses. I've talked about this. So no, that is incorrect. That is a Western thing or a Chinese thing. Oh no, we're all fucked. The whole world is not one big country. The whole world is a collection of regions. And you as a Westerner are just addicted to America is everything or Europe is everything or China is everything. It's not. It's a lot and it's most. It's not the whole world.
But we've all been programmed that way. And a lot of coming into adulthood in terms of understanding like a global lifestyle is understanding exactly that.
Correct.
Every country has a motivation to keep you there and to keep you closed-minded.
Correct. The elites want you to think this way. I've talked about this in my books and stuff. Good evening from Tashkent. Oh, cool.
Hey, Uzbekistan in the house. Hi.
Yeah. This place is like Dubai was 25 years ago, land of opportunity. When are you coming? Yeah, Uzbekistan is fucking awesome. I had to move my trip around because I'm doing a bunch of banking bullshit here in Dubai. I love banks. And because I'm leaving here in 2 weeks, I got to get it done. So I'm probably going to Kazakhstan, Astana, not Tashkent, Astana probably this weekend, kind of a spur of the moment thing. And if I can shove it in, I will go to Tashkent. If not, I'm going to have to go when I come back here in September. But here's what's fun. When I come back to Dubai in September, I got to renew my American passport here at the embassy here, which is going to take 6 weeks. So when I get back to Dubai, I'll be stuck here for about 6 weeks. So I have a lot of weird timing to do. But anyway, such is overly complicated Five Flags life that I live. What about the 70K by investment program in Paraguay? That is not needed. That gives you I don't know what it gives you. I think that gives you instant permanent residency, but you don't need it. You don't need to do it. You just don't need to do it. It is there. It exists, but you don't need to do it.
You also need to submit the same documents.
It's probably the same shit. I think it just gives you your permanent residency immediately.
instead of having to wait.
Who gives a shit? Get your temporary, wait a year and get your it's fine. Save $70,000. Can Americans own land or condos in Paraguay? Yes. Do you want to speak to that?
There are no restrictions currently.
Right.
So in Mexico, there are quite a lot of restrictions in terms of what land non-Mexicans can own. For example, as an American, I cannot own anything within X number of miles of a coastline. So if I want a beach house in Mexico, it ain't happening. There are no regulations at all in Paraguay. You can own whatever you want.
You can buy whatever you want from any country of the world. There are Koreans that own stuff there. There are Germans that own stuff there. There aren't a lot of Americans own stuff there, but Billie and I will be the first Americans. Billie and I will be the first Americans to own stuff in Paraguay. But no, you can own whatever the fuck you want there. It's awesome because again, it's a small government. They don't have the resources to give a shit about what you're doing. They leave you alone. They don't care. And not like Dubai, but similar to these countries, there is an attitude in Paraguay similar to Colombia. Colombia has this attitude where they want foreign investment. They want people coming to a degree. They're not like America, like get the fuck out. And most countries, like don't come here, fuck you, get out of here, America first. They're the opposite. They know in order to grow, they need to be more internationally minded. Now Paraguay is a little more chaotic than a country like Dubai, but you can't compare them. But they don't have this anti-immigrant attitude you have in lots of other countries, including the United States. You just don't have that in Paraguay.
Not at all. And property values there are quite low.
The what?
So you can buy a new studio apartment in the city center of the capital city in the nicest neighborhood for around $65,000.
Yeah. Now you have to pay cash. You can't borrow money down there. You have to have cash. But yes, right.
Well, super inexpensive.
Yeah, cheap as fuck.
Lots and lots of opportunity. The other thing that's really cool is that they don't zone their properties the same way we do, like in Europe and the US, where if this is zoned residential, you can't have a business in your house. Down there, you sure as hell can.
Good.
You want to have your chiropractic business in a house?
Cool.
Like Dr. Gosen does, you just do it. It's fine.
Cool.
Totally kosher. So a lot of mixed use properties, etc. So you can even buy commercial properties and make half of it into a living space. Just lots of opportunity and lots of growth.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Actually,
that's
you gave me a really good idea.
One of the other people on this, I'm skipping ahead a little in the chat, but it asked if we had noticed that there is a lack of storage facilities for expats coming to Paraguay. Yes, we have noticed that. I am part of an expat group that is working right now on changing that.
Yes, literally. And I will no longer, I have a storage unit down there. And I think it's one of two places the whole city or the whole country has a storage unit. And I can't wait to close it down so I can get an apartment down there. So historically, I've had a storage unit down there. So every time I go down there, I got to take a day and go get an Uber and get all my shit, load up the truck and bring it to wherever Airbnb and unload it, set it all up. And I cannot wait. When I get down there, I'm going to go to my storage unit, take it all out of there, close down the storage unit and get my apartment and get my furniture, get my little house, my little home set up down there. I can't wait. I won't do dick with a storage unit ever again. But storage units are very profitable, as Billy knows. And so, yes, there's a
tremendous lack. I think a lot of people are shipping their things over in pods so that they can avoid that issue. But of course, that can be very expensive. And if you're the digital nomad type that doesn't want to haul a bunch of physical stuff with you, at least that much, storage units are the way to go. And as Caleb said, there are only 2.
Yep.
So, yep.
Caleb, you said you'll someday get a passport in Paraguay, right? Right. Wouldn't it be a violation of the 5 flags model? Very good question. You're paying attention. You get an A+ in class. Very good. No, because I said I'm going to spend 4 to 5 months a year in Paraguay. So Paraguay will still not be my country A. Your country A is where you spend most of the year. So I will never get a passport here in the UAE. That would be a violation. I do not want a passport where I live most of the year. Now, you could argue it's a gray area, possibly. And if I start spending more than 6 months a year in Paraguay, down the road, who knows what will happen? Who knows? Then it would be a violation if I were to do it. But as of now, no, because I'm not going to spend more than 6 months a year there. I'm going to spend a lot of time there, but it's not my primary residence. I'll still be a tax resident of UAE where there's 0 taxes. I'm covered. But very good question. Under normal conditions, if I was going to live there, and I was doing full 5 flags, correct. I would not want a passport there. I would want residency there, permanent residency, and I would not want a passport because of tax stuff. Right. Do you guys have anything about having access to live in Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay through being a member of Mercosur with Paraguayan permanent residency? Like I said earlier, it gives you access to those countries, but you cannot live in those countries legally. You could break any laws you want, but you can't get Paraguayan residency, then walk over to Brazil. They let you in and say, I'm going to live here now. You'd be an illegal alien, technically. Right, Billy?
That is correct. But the one benefit of having your Paraguayan residency is that you won't need a visa to go to Brazil because they recently reinstituted a visa policy for many countries. Right.
Can I apply for Mexico temporary residency without showing all that monthly income stuff and later apply for permanent residency after staying there for a year? No, you cannot.
No.
You could get a visitor's visa, but you wouldn't be able to live there for a year. But the answer is no. If you want residency, you've got to show that stuff. And here's why. Mexico, this is hilarious to me politically. This is so funny. Mexico is not making the same mistake that the Americans are making. The Americans say, hey, poor people, millions of poor people, come on into our country. Western Europe did this too. Come on in, millions of poor people. That's a great idea. And overwhelm our welfare state and bankrupt our country. Mexico goes, well, we don't want that to happen, even though the poor people are from Mexico. So, like, if you come to our country, you can't be poor because we don't want to fuck up our country. Mexico, unlike the United States and Western Europe, is not suicidal. America's suicidal, and so is Western Europe. Anyway, not that I'm against immigration. You don't understand what I'm saying. I'm against immigration when you have a welfare state. I'm a libertarian. I think you should have open borders. Anyone should be able to come across. But if you have a welfare state, then you got to be careful who comes across. Anyway, don't get me started. For Canadians, the way they apostille. Okay, we already talked about that. Let's see.
And I'm looking into that. It does look like we can do the authentication the same way. So, but that's something we work with our legal team on.
One person is saying that Canada joined Hague Convention this year.
Yeah, I just pulled up some articles. Thanks for telling me, guys.
Oh. And someone else is saying that too. You guys have taught us a lesson here. That's really cool. I didn't know that. So it
gives me something to talk to legal about to see if they've run into it and to prepare for the group. I don't think we have any Canadians signed up yet for this particular trip, but I'd have to look.
Interesting. Boy, that changes a lot, actually, now that they're an apostille country. Yeah, I didn't know that. It just happened in January, it looks like. Cool.
But they also have their shit together in Canada.
Yeah, it's faster.
It's back in a week or two.
Compared to the U.S., yes, they're faster.
Thanks, Canada, good job. We like you.
Yeah. Caleb, have you considered the Philippines as a flag? Why or why not? It's a fantastic flag. I think if you like the Philippines, you should go there. It's awesome. The only reason I didn't is not because I dislike the Philippines. I think it's one of the best flags in the world. Awesome. Matter of fact, I've had team members in the Philippines. They're great. Mm-hmm. Just because I like Dubai and Paraguay a little better, just for me. Philippines is amazing. The people are friendly and fun. They have the best beaches in the world. It's super cheap. The weather is great. It's relatively easy to get resi there. What's that?
The people are beautiful.
The people are interesting. I've talked about the people on my other channel. If you're a guy, go to the Philippines. Just go and just find out what happens. It's great. So no, Philippines is great as a flag. I mean, financially too, it's awesome.
I don't like seafood.
It's not one that I focus on because I liked Dubai and Paraguay better. Just an opinion thing.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I'm so white I glow in the dark, and I don't like seafood. So Paraguay's a little better fit for me.
Let's see. Mercosur, talk about that. I met Mexico financial requirements, but I want to quit my job and work on my business, so I will technically won't have an income. Can I still get residency? Okay, then you know what you should do. And Billy, see if you tell me if you disagree with this. In the cases of those you still have a job, you're starting your own business. What you should probably do, get your fucking Mexican residency now while you have a job. Get it now. You got to take some time off, but you just need to go visit the embassy. You don't need to take time off for that. And then you need to come down to Mexico for what do we have them come down for a week?
10 days.
10 days. So you got to figure out your vacation time, get that fucking done while you have the income, and now you've got the residency, and now you can quit your job. Do that. You agree, Billy?
Absolutely. Even if that means you burn the rest of your vacation time,
Do it.
yeah,
Because
do
you're
it.
gonna quit. You're gonna quit and start your own business. So do it. Get it done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At least
No.
get that visa appointment done. Like, get that
You know,
done and
that's a good
schedule your
point.
trip as soon as you can.
Yeah. So one could, if they wanted to do it this way, correct me if I'm wrong, Billy, you could do your embassy appointment at the consulate of the embassy in the United States or wherever. Get that stamp thing, and then you have 180 days to go to Mexico, right?
Yes.
Okay. But then you could quit your job after that. You don't have to wait to go to Mexico, right?
You don't have to wait.
Okay.
I mean, you could just say, hey, I got my visa, my residency visa, and
They don't
I'm
check
here.
again. So once you come to Mexico for the second piece, they don't check your income again. So you could go to the embassy while you're employed. You could even, I guess, quit. They don't know you're employed. That might be risky. Go while you're employed to the embassy, get all that process done. Then you can fucking quit your job and go. Do that. That's even
I
better. Yeah.
recommend that for anyone who is employed because it's like getting a loan in the US. It's a little bit harder to do things when you're self-employed. Is it impossible? Absolutely
It is.
not. But it's a little bit harder. So if you can do yourself the favor, do it while you're employed.
Caleb and Billy, could you discuss how it's different? How different it is to get residency in Paraguay and Uruguay for Mercosur citizens. So, Billy, if they're already, we've never had someone in South America do this. If
We
they
have
already
not.
are a South America resident, is it easier, or do we know?
We don't know because we haven't run into that yet.
I would imagine it's the same or easier. It's probably easier.
I'm imagining
Mercosur?
the requirements are going to be the same. They're still going to need
Probably.
that same, the apostille document to have on file.
Yeah.
I don't know that Mercosur makes any change to that, but I will ask legal, and if I find out that that's the case, we'll share it in the next live stream with you guys.
Yeah. Out of the countries that you guys offer residency, which ones require you to stay in the country for a period of time to keep your residency? None. That's why we recommend them. We recommend the top 4 residencies in the world that are the easiest. UAE, which is Dubai, Paraguay, Mexico, Armenia. You don't have to stay in any of these countries. Now, some of them you have to visit. So Dubai, you have to visit once every 6 months. You can literally land, wave, and then get back on the plane and leave. That counts. You got to visit. The other 3 don't. They don't. Paraguay, I think you have to go.
You have to visit each of those countries within the first. Mexico's within the first year. The other 2 are in the first 2 years, I believe.
Yeah, a year or 2. That's it. And you don't need to spend any time there. You visit, say hi. You have your passport stamped. You spend the night. You leave.
That's it. So, literally.
That's it. So none of them. That's why I recommend them. We recommend the best 4 residencies in the world. That's why we picked those 4.
And that's why we are not recommending Uruguay yet. We understand that it's on the list, but the process doesn't share that simplicity of the other 4.
Right. So Uruguay would be for if you want to live in Uruguay.
Yes.
And so Billy and I have to discuss if we add that to our roster of countries, or if we pick another country number 5. God, maybe we should do Philippines. I don't know. That'd be a good one to check out. Philippines would be great.
Yeah, I think we don't have a flag anywhere in Asia or in Asia Pacific.
Yeah, so Asia, Philippines. Asia would be nice. Philippines is one of the easiest places in Asia, because Asia, they require net worth. They want to see you have $500,000, but Philippines doesn't. So,
well, guys, I think you've sent us off on another tangent, and I like those, especially if I'm going to another country. Like, okay, sign me up.
Yeah, we do need to add a 5th country. We need a 5th official kick-ass residency. And if Uruguay, it's not going to be it. We could add Uruguay as kind of a subset, like an option, and then we get a 5th. And it could be. I wish it was Panama, but it can't be Panama. It probably can't be Colombia. Philippines, man. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't think about that.
Oh, you know what? We just had a really great question asking if Paraguay and Uruguay were welcome for Arabs, Muslims, or Jews. We have not had any negativity. We have had people of every faith and ethnic background and visual appearance that you can imagine, with the exception of and we didn't have any cross-dressers that I'm aware of. But other than that, we have a huge variety of people, and they are welcomed because, again, they're interesting.
Yep.
Is it the same way that I think like Indian guys are super interesting? That's my current fixation, I guess. Because I know he hears about it way too much. It's because I like the accent, because there aren't very many around here, et cetera, et cetera. It's the same thing.
We all have our type.
Mm-hmm. And we have a very cool Asian friend who's from New York and is an architect. You know who this is, Caleb. You know him very well. His name starts with an O, and he's been in the audience for years and years.
Yes. Yep.
And he is very popular with the ladies down there.
You're going to be fine. Arab, dark skinned, Jewish. You're going to be fine. And frankly, Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, you'll be fine. It's Brazil. Certain parts of Brazil, you'll be okay, but certain parts, but no, you'll be fine in Paraguay. You'll be fine in Uruguay. No, they don't care about that stuff. They find you interesting. Yeah, they don't give a shit.
Cultural since the interwar period. So seeing people of different faiths, they have a Korean population. They have a Mennonite population. They have people who are very distinctly physically different in appearance, who live harmoniously. So
Paraguay's awesome.
They don't have some of the weird insularity problems that we do, and they don't have an official religion.
That too. There is a traditional undertone, but they're not hardcore about it like Mexico and Catholicism. They're just not. There is a traditional undertone with the older people, but the younger people don't give a fuck. Trust me, they don't care. Do you think green energy will be the next sector to get rich? Do you need a degree? There are many sectors to get rich. That is one of them. Healthcare would be a bigger one. But yes, green energy, healthcare, crypto, AI, green energy. There you go. All those will do just fine over the next 25 years. Do you need a degree? You know my answer about that. Maybe you don't know. No. Going to college is stupid. Don't do it unless you're going to be a doctor. That's been my opinion for a long time. And every year I get more and more in that direction. So no. Billy may have a different answer.
Too. More and more. I used to feel really inferior. I definitely had an inferiority complex around not having a degree. But look at me. Y'all are listening to me for some reason, with or without that degree. So
no one gives a fuck. No one has ever asked me. I've done big consulting deals, like, 6-figure consulting single contract deals with big, CEOs and CFOs, and not one person. That's not true. Once in my life, I'm 52 years old. Did someone ask, where did you go to school? One time when I was like 24, some CEO asked me that. I went, I didn't go anywhere. And he's like, oh, well, you're self-taught. That's great. And that was it. No one gives a fuck. That's a job thing. If you're going for a job, they look at your resume and then you see and you're in the entrepreneurial sector, no one gives a fuck.
No, they care if you can deliver.
Yeah. Can you deliver? That's it. Do you think Belgium will be good the next few years? No, that is in Western Europe. Western Europe's going down.
Yeah. Is it in Europe? Probably not a good place.
If it's in Europe, no. Even Eastern Europe is not doing well. There's 2 or 3 places in Eastern Europe that might be okay. Other than that, the rest of Europe, no. And I know
on the path for too many things just to begin with.
I know you guys, a lot of you guys love Europe, and I love Europe too. I'm going to England, and I love, despite the fact that London's collapsing right before your eyes, I love going to England. It's like my grandfather. It's because I have no culture because I'm an American. So I can't wait to. I'm very excited. I feel so great when I'm there. I would never live there. I would never make it as a flag. So use Europe, what it's supposed to be for. Go visit and say, oh, this is so cute and so nice and so sweet. And then get the fuck out.
And live in a Europeanized city. That's something people don't realize.
Like Buenos Aires or something, right?
Buenos Aires, yeah. When you walk down the supermarket aisle in Paraguay, you're going to see an entire pasta aisle.
Yep.
I mean, it shocked the hell out of me. If you're Australian and you really like schnitzel, guess what? They call it Milanese, and it's everywhere. So it is more home-like than you realize also.
For Paraguay, do we still need to make a bank deposit for a few thousand for residency? No, they got rid of that about 3 years ago. That is no longer a thing. I had to do that. I had to put in $5,000 in their bank and wait 2 years. Boo. You don't do any of that stuff. No, they got rid of that. Thank God. Again, Paraguay wants people there. So no. Hi, Caleb. What is better decision to set up a business visa in Dubai for your startup business and live in Uruguay or Paraguay to continue working on your new business in a low-cost country? That depends on you and what your priorities are. There's no right or wrong answer to that. If your focus, I've mentioned this on this channel, if your focus is, I want a low cost of living, that's my big thing, and some of you it is, you don't want to go to Dubai. You want to go to Paraguay, even Uruguay. So now, if that's not your thing, if your thing is, I want to save money on taxes or I want economic opportunity, then you go to Dubai. So it depends on what you want, what your priority. Everyone has different priorities. If your thing is dating, probably don't want to go to Dubai unless you have a lot of money.
True.
So it depends on what you want. Depends on, your priorities. So it's up to you. What is your priority, and make your decision based on that. Don't write a wrong answer. My home has a double tax treaty with Uruguay, but not with Paraguay. All else considered, would this make Uruguay a better choice for tax residency? Yes, as an extra layer of redundancy. That just means you're not going to get double taxed.
Mm-hmm.
So in Paraguay, you don't need a double. Guess what? You don't need a double tax residency in Paraguay because it's territorial tax.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to pay any taxes in Paraguay if it comes from outside Paraguay. So no, you could go to Paraguay. You're not going to pay any taxes in Paraguay under any conditions unless you make money in Paraguay, and you're not. So if your income comes from your other country, you'll pay zero tax in Paraguay.
Yeah.
That's why a tax treaty isn't needed. Tax treaties are only needed between high tax countries like Australia and UK and United States and Canada, shit like that. So yeah. And to be clear, the taxes are a little higher in Uruguay than they are in Paraguay. They're not horrible, but they are higher. Just to be aware.
As is the cost of living.
Yeah, all that's a little higher because it's more of a first world environment. So you go to Montevideo, it's a first world country. It's like a clean version of Buenos Aires. Not exactly right. That's not exactly. I don't know how you describe Montevideo. We'll show videos or something when we go. Oh, this is a good one for you, Billy. What would be a good banking option for U.S. Wyoming LLC as a Canadian expat living in Paraguay? I heard Mercury Bank is good. You want to answer that?
Mercury Bank is good. Any of the online platforms are good, but I also recommend having at least one physical bank account in your country. So if you're going to be in Paraguay, open a Paraguayan bank account. If you're going to be if you're going to stay in the U.S., open a U.S. bank account. You're definitely going to want to have one on the ground and then use at least one virtual system, in my opinion.
If I plan to join your location independent business program and I saved $1,000 so far, how much more should I be saving? I don't know which program you're referring to, Delbert. I don't know what you mean. We don't have a program called independent location independent business. You mean Paraguay residency? I don't know. Put it back in the chat.
Business builder. It's hard to know.
Oh, that might be business builder. You talking about the 9-day business builder? It's going to run you about $4,000 to $5,000 depending on what discounts you qualify for. That's business builder. So if you have $1,000, and you can make payments too. If you live in Canada, well, you can make payments in any country. You can also make payments. So you need a little more money. But here's the thing: if you have no money, I don't want you spending what little money you have on a program, even mine. So I recommend you get another $1,000, put it in a savings account for emergencies, and then start saving for business builder. Yeah. That's what I recommend. I don't want you to spend your last dime on my stuff. I don't feel good about that.
And as your business auntie, I can't let that happen either.
Yeah, Billy won't even let you do that, right? She'll say no. Right.
I will. I'm really mean sometimes. So watch it.
Yeah. What's your and Billy's thoughts on Ecuador and Chile? I know less about those countries. Chile is pretty cool. Nothing big negative to say about Chile other than the cost of living is higher in Santiago. What's that?
So I was supposed to be in Ecuador earlier this year. And Jesus, is their government in upheaval. Yeah. I would definitely say I would not choose to live there. I like someplace that is much more stable. And for me, Paraguay has been stable for quite some while and has demonstrated that for multiple decades. There are very few other South American countries we can say that about.
Yeah, I know a few people in Ecuador who are older retired people because it's cheap and the crime rates are decent. But the government's in a mess right now. But other than that, no big. But yeah, again, Paraguay's better. Paraguay's been near perfect since like 1989, since it was a dictatorship in the 80s. And they got rid of the dictator a billion years ago. And they've been fine ever since consistently. So I don't dislike Ecuador or Chile. I think they're good countries. But Paraguay's better, Uruguay's better, in my opinion.
I think, if you're looking at a long-term plan and you're looking at stability, I just don't think that's a great way of going.
Yeah. Will Saudi and Dubai be more taxes in the next few years? Saudi, probably not, because MBS has made a big commitment, and that's his big thing about, hey, come here, we will never charge you tax, because when they initiated the 9% corporate tax in Dubai, Saudi Arabia said, oh, well, we won't do that, because Saudi Arabia needs what Dubai has. They need to be the next Dubai, or they're in big trouble, and they know it. So I would be shocked if there's any taxes in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Dubai, there's two arguments. One argument is the other countries in the world are going to force Dubai to raise their taxes over time. They have no fucking choice. They will raise taxes. That's argument one. Argument two, and this is an argument you will hear in Dubai, not outside of Dubai, because people don't talk about this outside of Dubai, but I live here. There are a lot of people in Dubai, in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, including billionaires who live here, who are extremely upset that they have to pay that 9% tax. I don't care, but I'm not a billionaire. Imagine you're making, hundreds of millions of dollars, and now suddenly you got to pay a 9% tax when you were paying zero. There's a lot of people in Dubai who are very upset, who are threatening to leave, and a bunch of other shit. And so that's putting pressure on Dubai not raising any taxes. So those are the two sides of the argument, and we could have a whole discussion about that. But that's the summary.
Do with it what you will, and I'll try to use my emerging influence. I told Caleb this the other day. It blew my mind. The Crown Prince of the UAE checked out my LinkedIn profile, and I'm sure it wasn't him. I'm sure it was a staffer. But yeah, it was legit. It was legit. Like, how cool is that? So if you're watching,
you guys know who Faz is he's on Instagram, F-A-Z. He's the Crown Prince of Dubai. He's the good-looking prince that all the women want to marry. And he or someone was checking out Billy's LinkedIn profile.
I know I have like 100 connections on there. I'm very impressive.
Maybe he'll be a sheik's wife.
I would have to submit to someone else's authority.
Oh, yes,
that
you would.
Culture especially, so that it
happening. Yes, you would. Oh, yes.
Even if I fit the bill, I would not fit the bill. I'd be killed.
Malaysia. Someone's just asking about Malaysia. Good for people like me who are higher income business owners, want to avoid taxes, want a nice place to live. KL's amazing. Matter of fact, Andrew Henderson, when I was talking to him way back when I first started talking, that's where he wanted me to move, because that's where he lives. Not because he lives there, but that's where he really wanted me to move in terms of what I wanted. I said, too humid. So I hate humidity. I can't do humidity all year. So that's why I went to Dubai. But other than that, if you don't have a lot of money, there are better places. Philippines.
Yeah, we definitely need to look into the Philippines and spend more time looking into Asia, honestly.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
And we'd love for you guys to send us your ideas.
Yes.
If you have comments and ideas, particularly about Asia and your experience getting residency there, please reach out.
An easy place to get residency where you don't have to visit there a lot. That's easy to do. That's what we're mainly looking at. And one that is a residency doesn't cost a lot of money, because we're trying to appeal to the normal people here. So yes, cool. If I will finish Uruguay residency on my own through other agencies, would you like me to cooperate with you further as part of this 5 Flags plan? If you like, that's up to you. Sure.
Yeah, reach out.
You can still come with us. You can still hang out with us in Uruguay in July. Do it.
Totally.
Caleb, so that is bosscooperative.com/events or calebjones.com/events for the Uruguay and to get to Paraguay and the Residency Paraguay. Matter of fact, I should turn off that banner because that's going to be confusing now. Hang on, let me turn this off. There we go. Okay. A few more questions, and then I have to run. Let's see here. Oh, Delbert, you were talking about Business Builder. Great. Okay, great. I'm glad we clarified that. Cool.
It's a very cool program, very much worth it, but make sure you have a safety net for yourself first. That's the most important.
Yeah, and we open up the program tomorrow. More on that tomorrow. Let's see.
You can hang out with me there too.
Yeah, Billy's pretty much taken over that program. Pretty much her program now.
Well, I'm involved. Like the team, it's not just me. We surround you with lots of cool people.
We have a bigger team now. Yeah, we've expanded the team.
Awesome. Oh, geez, yeah.
Can I come to Paraguay and get an apartment first without getting the cedula? If you're going to rent an apartment, you should get a cedula. Yeah.
Yeah, you often can't sign a lease. So maybe if you're working with an expat and you did something a little more under the table, but if you're doing it in a legitimate way, that's probably not a choice you would make.
And my understanding is there are legitimate ways to rent an apartment without a cedula, but it's a nightmare from hell and you don't want to do it. You might as well get your fucking cedula. So no, I don't recommend it. There are ways to do it. I've talked to some of the attorneys, but it's a mess. And if you're going to get an apartment, that's real, dude. Get your cedula. Yeah. And you'll benefit from it. It's a lot. You're going to spend time getting an apartment there and spending time. You want a cedula to be treated like a normal human there. It's just, like I said, if you're just going to get it as a backup flag or just to have the residency in your back pocket, then maybe you don't need sub. But if you're going to really do stuff on the ground there, you need to get a cedula, just without question. Just, yeah. Which of these countries for which residency would you recommend for dating or FBs? Well, I don't want to go into detail about that, but
that's a personal choice. Look at people on the interwebs and see what you like. And then look at the cost of living, because keeping in mind, places like Dubai attract women who are looking to get their MRS. They are there to meet wealthy men. Women do not go to Paraguay to meet wealthy men. So there are a lot of factors that come into play, and that's an answer for each of you. Taste is very personal and very subjective.
Women in Paraguay are small, flat-chested, with big asses and cute faces. That's kind of the generic Paraguayan look. So if you want like a buxom, amazing statuesque, then you'd go to Colombia.
No, then you just call me. No, just kidding.
Or you call Billy, but you better be Indian if you call Billy. You have to have dark skin.
Well, most likely, yeah. Caramel, come on.
Right. So it depends on what you like. If you like more crazy party girl, sexy, then it'd be Brazil. It depends on what you like. Right.
It really does. More Europeanized Argentina. And it's the same around the globe. Just check it out. Go to those cities and find out for yourself. But that's a reason we invite you guys to come along with us to check out these cities.
If you're talking about personality, Paraguayan women are fantastic. If you're just talking about personality,
it is definite part of the culture to be demure and to exceed.
Nice and fun. Just sweethearts. They're great. Oh my God. But honestly, most of South America, the women are pretty good. Most of it, not all, but most are pretty. So, ask me more about that in the next channel.
I still haven't dated down there because, short.
Yeah. We know why Caleb hates USA, Europe, but what are your thoughts, Billy?
So Coach Christy and I just went on a trip to the Grand Canyon in Arizona, United States. And she noticed something about me that she gave me a lot of guff that I didn't realize I do. Apparently I complain when I see American flags. Like when people have American flags on their clothes and on their car, I apparently can't help myself. And I always say, don't you know where you fucking live? Why do you need a flag? I think America's annoying. I'm embarrassed to be an American. I'm even more embarrassed since the last election, since we had certain people come into office. I usually claim to be Canadian.
Do you really?
I can get away with it, Guy, because I have the accent. I'm really close.
Oh, yeah. No, you could do it.
So I can pretend anytime.
Yeah.
Winnipeg. So no, really, I am absolutely embarrassed to be an American. I hate our idea of nationalism, trumping the idea that there's an entire globe out there. I hate the idea of any kind of enforced religions anywhere in the world. I'm just very, very opposed to those things. Now, unlike Caleb, I am a tree-hugging, fully woke like I identify as woke.
You're not woke. You're not woke.
A pejorative. I don't.
You're not woke. You're left. You're not woke.
Human being.
You are not woke.
I'm very left-leaning. Very left-leaning. I do believe in having like social welfare and things like that, because children can't help where they're born, etc. But I'm happy as a hermit. I've never visited Europe, which is like, guys, you've got to start inviting me over to Europe. That's got to happen. I do have a couple of invites, but
you have more than one invite, dude. You got lots of invites.
No, I only have a couple. So invite me to Europe, guys. Let's do some events in Europe. That'd be really fun. I'll give you my opinion when I come back. But I'm drawn to many, many, many European places and cities. and the
You'd like
history in
Europe.
particular.
You'd like Europe.
So, but for me, that it is not a place to live. The cost of living is absolutely ridiculous in most of
Oh
the
my
countries
God.
that I'm drawn to. And also, I'm American and I don't realize how spoiled we are for space. I have, I live on 3/4 of an acre of land, surrounded by other land that is unused. It is just fields and forests. So I have nothing but space and freedom. And the idea of being stuck in like an attached house, um, or like a row of houses, where I can see neighbors and people are on top of me, like gives me the chills. I would hate that. I would feel so confined and claustrophobic. So for me, Paraguay and those other, these other places offer vast expanses, which is something that really appeals to me as space. And that's where I get my location independence, is by feeling free in space, not necessarily be in a particular place, if that makes sense to you guys.
I'm going to answer one more question. I'll have Billy pick out our final 2 questions and we'll wrap this up. So one of you is asking, how much actually is the Paraguay cedula? On your website, it says 1,000, but you mentioned 2,000 this live stream. Whatever the website says, we're guessing. Always go to the website. Whatever the website says, go there, go there. That's the real number. Yeah.
Yes. And I just want to address a really quick question that Travis asked. Could there be good residencies in Africa? I wish. I really, really wish. Because if we want to talk about dating, Algeria, Morocco, Egypt.
Oh my God.
And
You'd be in 7th heaven.
all the way. I really wish that those were places that were more stable and safe, but right now they're just not. I'm only really familiar with North Africa and then the country of South Africa. I cannot speak to the rest of this entirely vast continent, but I've yet to see a real opportunity emerging. Caleb?
In terms of residency, I don't know of any. There are some countries in Africa that I think are interesting. I think Morocco is very interesting. I'm going to try to go next year. I'm going to do I don't know if I can fit it in, but I'm going to try to go next year.
Let me know. Yeah,
okay.
Let me know, because that's when Chrissy wasn't my friend who's willing to travel with me wasn't quite willing to go there because of its proximity to other.
Well, you and I have to figure out Antarctica first. We got to figure that shit out first.
Okay.
Then we'll figure out Morocco. But Antarctica is more important. We got to figure out. We haven't talked about that. We'll talk about that in the next live stream.
Yeah. If any of you guys are interested in learning more about events, including Antarctica, and signing up for getting to know Paraguay or getting your residency, bosscooperative.com/events or
CalebJones.com/events. Same list.
That's it.
So Billy, go to the bottom of the list of questions. I'll let you pick out the final 2. Let's do 2 more. You can pick them, or 1.
Okay.
I'll let you can pick. Maybe there aren't any more. Well, whatever ones I didn't address.
We're covering a lot of these. But there was one really interesting question about argan oil, which for those of you who don't know it, and I'm you seen it somewhere in the Mediterranean because that's where it grows. It's an oil that's really popular for skin and hair care. It's been used traditionally in many places for centuries, but it's coming into the mainstream cosmetics market. Do I think that could be a cool business to do in Europe or South America? Probably you've missed a ship on that one, because that's, that product has been popular for about 10 years now. But there may be ways to help those companies or to help them reach new audiences. So rather than thinking of physical products, guys, I often look at what surrounds a physical product. And I know this isn't directly related to Paraguay and being an expat and all the cool stuff, but one of the tricks to me for finding a niche is you look at something like argan oil and you say, what does it take to produce that? How do they ship? How do they ship their fruits to XYZ place? How did they do the packaging? Who does the bottling? How is this distributed? Look at the companies that surround that product. And that's likely where you're going to find an opportunity to help solve a problem. And that's the key to owning a business of any kind, is that you're solving a problem for someone else or improving a situation. So if you start looking from that end rather than from a product, you'll be in a much better place. Another really important question here that I don't think we can cover enough. Raymond asks, what internet access is like in Paraguay and Uruguay compared to the collapsing West? I've not yet been to Uruguay, and I've only spent a little time outside of the capital city, Paraguay. Um, but my internet in Paraguay has consistently been better than it is here in Wisconsin. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not using hyperbole. I often have to tether to my phone. That's why I have my shitty camera and mic on, because I don't have enough speed to use my good camera and do a live stream. That's never been the case in Paraguay.
Yep. My experience is that let's see, the internet in Paraguay and Uruguay is, as long as you stay in the nicer parts of Uruguay, it's fine. You're fine in Uruguay, no problem. It's first world. Paraguay, you're fine if you stay in most of the normal places that expats would stay because the infrastructure is a little better. The only it's perfectly fast. I've never had a problem. I'm an internet entrepreneur, so I've never had a problem with it. What the problem I have had, matter of fact, Billy has experienced this last year, the year before, where it's electricity. So if you're on the internet doing a live stream, for example, this happened to me and Billy a year or two ago while I was in Paraguay. There's a storm, a huge storm comes in, electricity goes out or it blips, and that'll kill the internet, knock you off the internet. That will happen. That's more likely to occur in Paraguay than if you live in downtown, I don't know, downtown Denver or something like that. It's still fine, but that's happened like once or twice. Similar to Armenia, I've had electrical problems a little bit when the weather gets really bad, but it's not internet, it's electrical infrastructure.
Yeah.
So, but that's it. I mean, I've been going to Paraguay since 2018. So do the math, that's 6 years. I've had to deal with electrical shit maybe 3 times, and it's pretty quick. It comes back on again. You're not out for days. Yeah. It's not like Africa or Puerto Rico. It comes back. Or Wisconsin, right? So, but the internet in terms of speed and reliability, never a problem in Paraguay or Uruguay. It's fine. All right. We need to wrap this up. So one last time, Billy, what is your website?
It is bosscooperative.com. You will find events. We have some group coaching programs, or if you want to hang out with me in a one-on-one conversation, you can book that there too.
Yep. And then calebjones.com/events. Today, and if you're watching the recording, it's probably too late, but today, if you're live or you see this on YouTube or something in the next few hours, you can still sign up for the Get Residency in Paraguay, but this is literally the last day. This is the cutoff. If you want to sign up for Uruguay or Get to Know Paraguay, you can still sign up for that. The deadline for those, I think, is like in 2 weeks, right, yep. Billy? 2 or 3 weeks?
About 2.5 weeks, yes. And
2.5 weeks.
Just really quickly, no. Paraguay did not shut down during the pandemic.
No, it did not.
Paraguay did not have vaccine requirements, and that is one of the reasons that Paraguay remains on our list.
Correct. Now, there was some stupid stuff in Paraguay during the pandemic. There was some stupid stuff. You had to wash your hands. Every country did something stupid except for Dubai. So there was some, but it was fine. The borders were open for most of the time. They did not shut down. I was there during the pandemic. No problem. Just had to wash your hands and do some other stupid shit. Let's see. Then the bundle, those who are interested in the bundle, that shuts down in a few hours. So that is at www.caleb.top/massive. That's all my books, all my courses. That ends tonight, EST midnight. And I'm shutting down the website, and I may never do this again because it's $15,000 worth of stuff for like $300, $400, $500. Yeah. So that's you. If you haven't done that yet, you need to do that now. And then what other deadlines? That's it. Those events, and that's it. Cool. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you, Caleb. Just in time too. The delivery driver just came with a bunch of plants, and my dogs are being protective. So
awesome. I'll let you go.
Yeah. See you guys down in Paraguay and Uruguay. Check us out.
Thank you, guys.
See you then.
See you soon. Bye.
See you, Caleb.
Bye.